Welcome to Beyond the Box.
Our guests are insiders that are now out and on our side, dropping nuclear intel and breaking it down just for you.
And now it's time to introduce our hosts, Brenda Lankridge and Suzanne Haunt. Join us and subscribe for weekly shows. Beyond the Box begins now. Let's jump in.
And here we are. And Susie G, I am sorry. I was looking at that and I thought it said Susie Q and I couldn't figure out why you were saying, when are we going to be started? When I had Susie sitting right in front of me.
There's a Susie G.
Yes.
Not a Susie Q.
Abe. Hello, Abe. So.
Hey, Abe.
Hey, let me tell you. I thought I had some good sleep today. For a little while anyways. You know, we know I've been having a problem doing that, but it's been, I slept good when I went to bed last night. So yeah, it was nice to finally sleep. I didn't even have one dream last night. Not one. So it was great.
Yay.
Yeah, I know. How's your day been?
Good. My back hurts. I had to put a patch on just a minute ago because I was chainsawing a bunch of trees down. We drove the pipe in with a skid steer for the fence. We carried all the horse panels and hook up all the horse panels. I had to feed horses, and everything hurts because I had to carry chainsaws and I had to drag big trees out of the way and fight thorns and yeah. So yeah,
Susie,
I'm sore.
Susie, we need to get you a couple of those ranch hands that look like those guys that wear the hats and no shirts and jeans that dance in the field. You know, them big muscular ones. We need to get you a few of those.
That wouldn't do me no good. I need somebody that's willing to get dirty and work.
I mean, well, they're muscular. They should work.
Well, not if they look like that. It's all for show.
Sit in the window and say, okay, I'm just making sure y'all are working. Okay, I'll tell you what. I'll come and make sure they're working. How's that?
All right, you can get the bullwhip out and crack it.
Well, I don't know if we'd get much work done like that, but okay. I'll try it.
Hey, you never know. It might work.
I know. Right. All right, guys. So tonight we have Michael Anthony with us. God only knows what we're going to talk about, but we're just going to bring up some stuff. I love having him on the show. I love his brain, his information, and he is just a great guy. And I like that he is my friend. It is absolutely amazing. So, Susie, do you want to get us started?
Yeah, just say a nice simple prayer. God, Father, if anybody is out here watching tonight and they're sick, heal their bodies, make them feel better. And anybody in here having financial problems, Lord, I just ask that you do some good things in their life and help them out of their financial issues. We need a lot of help in this wicked world we live in, and we all need a little extra help. And I just ask that in Jesus' name.
We do need extra help. So on that note, I'm going to bring in Michael. Hi there.
Hi. I started to miss you guys.
You did? I miss you all the time.
It's lonely back there.
It is? Oh, we're going to have to fix that. We're going to have to like.
Yeah, you got to get an intern to keep people company somehow.
I know, right?
You have nobody behind the glass back here. It was hard. No direction for coffee, no direction for donuts. You know, I said I'm coming, and I get yelled at and said, "Well, clean up before you come on."
I did. I said that.
Well, I'm glad you took the punishment on that one because I really didn't say that. Anyway, lady,
You know
thank
what?
you for having me. Always a pleasure to come on. Let's shoot the shit. What do you guys want to talk about?
Shooting shit? Oh.
I think one of the most important things now is all our government offices and agencies remove Biden's picture. And I could finally, since 2020, make my flag from half stack go back up to support America. Because that was to me the day that America died, because I knew it was a lie from get-go. And I don't want to talk about this in a harsh way, but for me it was. And I said it will only go back up when I see a positive note come back to America.
Well, so just in case you miss him, here he is. Here he is in case you miss him. Okay.
What the hell was that? No, I know.
That's our everybody's favorite grandpa. I got to take that off of there. Creeps out Norma.
Yeah, I don't get into that. You know what? I used to think a lot of those funny things, I don't use them no more. I don't even use music no more. It's like, I just don't. I just like, let me get on. Let me talk. Let me do whatever. I'm not saying it ain't cool, but I don't know. I just kind of moved away from that because I thought I don't have time for updating and competing and all that. And I really don't, because, I'm working for myself, doing things, taking care of my own life, family, trying to prepare for shows, be on shows with people when I can, when I'm invited. And, it becomes to be a lot. And I just thought to myself, I'm hitting the live button. I don't care about nothing else anymore. The message has got to stay stronger.
Well, that gives me a chance to scratch things I probably shouldn't scratch in public. I mean, just saying.
Okay. If you got to scratch it, you got to scratch it. I get it. When you got
TMI.
I'm not the one bringing this shit up. Don't blame me, America.
Y'all got me in a mood today. Let me tell you. I'm
going to have to roll away soon, okay?
Don't roll. Hey, that's my line. I have to roll away soon.
You're not alone in this world. I get it.
Oh, I know it. So
anyway, I am seeing a lot of great things to happen, though. I'm also seeing some disappointing things, some gatherings, as we were talking about in the green room, and I'm going to bring it back up. We got a lot of half-wits coming up to Washington to protest against, the fact that we won. Probably they're going to say we stole it. Why not? Why wouldn't they? But, I am worried because I'm seeing a lot of movement around the United States to go to Washington for support, but also for protection. And I don't want to see any cities get caught short. It's bad enough, like me, where I'm at as a sanctuary city, that they are not willing and already made a public statement that they would not talk to Tom about anything, and they didn't want involved in what he was doing, because as a sanctuary city, they were here as a protection, but not really protection. Sanctuary was always a networking for human trafficking. It was for where the coyotes could bring them in, and they would network out of here. Pennsylvania is one of the largest human trafficking networks on the face of the 48. I joke not about it, but they're not going to help. And I say, when something like that takes place first over the safety of people, beautiful people, no matter what culture they're from, then I do worry about these scenarios. And I say to Tom,
what in the world?
Did we go away? Are we live, guys?
Yeah, it says live. What was that?
I don't know.
They are striking down on me. It's probably me. So I'm just going to say this, cease and desist. And if you don't, you're aiding and abetting, and you're going to go with them. You may not go or have to leave the United States, but all these mayors, council members throughout the country that are in on these plans and this networking system of, what they're doing and these deplorable actions, only to be held accountable for. So I'm going to start with that and go easy, because I don't like what I just saw. It's usually a sign of TI targeting, and I do get a lot of that.
Well, Normally, if something like that happens, before it happens, my screen, because of my defense, will flash red, and it didn't do that. So something tells me it might have been maybe my internet kind of just had a glitch, because it's been doing that lately. So
Well, we could just hope. Okay.
yeah, whenever my screen flashes red, I'm like, oh, hang on. I brace
Not to take
myself.
away from the fact that you are targeted. Right. Not to take away from that.
But regardless of the fact, I do absolutely agree with you. And I think that the problem with it is also is sanctuary state, now sanctuary city, sanctuary states. That is for
That
like,
would be
if
Austin
people
too.
leave
Austin's a sanctuary city.
well, if people leave Mexico to come here for safety, that's sanctuary. Okay. But when they come from 12 states over or 12 countries over, no, you go to the nearest country for sanctuary. That's what it is. So what they're doing isn't even sanctuary to begin with. So
Right.
go figure. Any hoots, YouTube, bite my fanny. I've already told you that 10 million times. Don't do it again.
Yeah.
So I'll take you on. Come on, let's go. Oh.
Well, we have these things. You're absolutely correct. And we can agree to disagree on many things, but I don't think anybody in America is going to disagree on a lot of these things any longer. I think we came to a point of awakening, and we did our job. And now it's even more our job is to keep exposing the processes of what they were doing
Right.
over the past 4 years. But it's bigger than the past 4 years. It's been a long game, utilizing the last 4 years to put placement in place. And thank God that we came out with a red victory, because could you imagine in 4 years from now where we would be? But we are up against things still, with that said.
Yes.
And technology is one of the main influences of it. And there's a good way to have AI, TGI, all these different, there's a bunch of different, whatever's about what AI is, and different systems of AI and who's creating it. Google has it. Musk, I think, has one of these quantum computers. Anyway, when you get into these things, it's whose fingers on the button is who you have to worry about. And I think when we look at a lot of the things that we just came out of and what's been transpiring, and what has happened, when you look at the fact that Jasper, Maui, Georgia, North Carolina, Tennessee, Florida, Canada, New York, and now what's huger is a solidarity of a sanctuary state to come, as a smart state, a smart state represented as California. And one of the things is, I'm glad you prayed tonight, because we got this really bad element of weather coming in, and we still have a lot of people, in turmoil that are in North Carolina and Tennessee, and they're intense. FEMA still hasn't done anything. What, $770 for people in California? Even for the rich, the rich don't need to worry about anything. If they're rich, they can go anywhere, be safe, be healthy, and be happy.
And they own more than one home,
Yeah,
all over the country,
they've got
so,
homes and money and everything. They're okay, and
Yeah.
insurance probably.
But we still have to worry about for the good Americans that were here doing the right things, just trying to survive. And they're not making very many moves to go in the direction that they're going to actually help those in great ways. And it's going to take a long time to put this back. So what's one better way to destroy an entirety of a state and hand off the project to another president? I find that to be most impressive. So it's going to be interesting to see how Trump handled this, because he even said that he would be building, and he made this comment 2 years ago, that he would be looking into Freedom City. So he knew for a fact he was going to be faced with this reality. Otherwise, he would have never brought it up. He would have never talked about it, would have never came to light. So, with that said, though, I hope that everybody in North Carolina, Georgia, Tennessee, if they are homeless, that they are given a shelter, because as I posted the other day, there was a storm coming, and I didn't mean it was because Trump walking through the door. That's an element of, a storm that's going to happen in a different way, but it's the weather element that they're bringing across, because with devastation, they have affected from the West Coast to the East Coast, all the way across the board through different
Yep.
types of devastations, floods, rains, storms, ice, snow. Even in the north, we don't have clear roads anymore. We used to have and had better roads cared for and under weather conditions 50 years ago than we do now. I mean, because guys sat in their trucks waiting, and the first minute that they thought they needed to start moving that truck, they would do it. And they drove together in patterns so they would keep the roadways and the entireties clear. Now, what we're seeing is devastation on all these interstates, tractor trailers flip, people dead, cars taken out. And this is all part of the plan. Cars,
Right.
home, life, limb, whatever. That's their narrative.
Yeah. And, I'll tell you, it's just with as much as we've had to put up with for the last 4 or 5 years, I don't think that things are going to be outstanding right off the bat. There is a lot that has to be tore down. You can't rebuild it if you don't tear it down. And I think we're in for a little bit of a bumpy road, but hopefully it will not hurt us as bad as it would have been had we have lost. So I think that there's going to be at least some good that's going to come out of this. I guess we can only hope,
No, I think
like
you're
one
right.
of the biggest things, I think that somebody ought to move a big toilet into Switzerland and flush the World Economic Forum. And they can take the WHO with them. I really do.
Well,
I think that is one big step we need to make.
Oh yeah, most definitely, most definitely. I'm gonna just in case, because there is 3 of us here.
What?
In case somebody else may want to speak, I don't want to overstep. That's all.
Oh, no. That's what we're here
Oh,
for.
we'll jump in there if we got something to say. It's a good.
Especially
You're good.
Susan. She'll scare the crap out of us because she'll yell, Michael!
Well, I mean, what we're talking about is everything of importance, right? I mean, that we can all agree
Yes.
on as well. We got to hope for a better future, for a better system for the children so that they can grow up, be healthy, be strong-willed, understand, be respectful. And these are the things that fail. I mean, when you look at what's going on, I'll give you an example. I think of where my mindset is right now. Say we're all at a store and we're all witnessing the same thing. A young lady freaking out, a little child, and the parent being so embarrassed, not even knowing how to handle it. When I was a child, if I were to start taking stuff off shelves and throwing it around or just saying, I want, the scream tantrum thing, and I mean, what we are having a problem with children raising children, and they don't know how to respectfully correct their child. But we're also in a society now, if you smack them on their behind, that you can go to jail, you can be prosecuted. And then it could go into a system called Planned Parenthood or Little Sisters of the thing is, we can't allow for things like that to exist anymore. But we also have to watch and basically walk on glass in our own judgments. But that's kind of how the system of play is. And we need these types of system of play to be changed, where a parent can go back to being a full-time parent and logically trying to raise their children where they are respectful in the society, because we're losing that element of life also. So, these are all problems. But when you look at the bigger picture of it all, it's the education is the same type of system. The drug system's the same type of system. You have the election system, another failure. All the train derailments we had. So you have railroad failures. What about all the bridges that got hit? I mean, think about the things that nobody's talking about anymore that have happened. There's, God, 1,000, if not more, of things that have happened that we need to correct. So I'm going back to what you said. Hopefully that we can get things done. It's going to be bumpy. Yes, it's going to be very bumpy. But I think it's going to start out with a lot of empty seats, a lot of elements of, put your resignation in. There's going to be a lot of deals being made quietly to remove this evilness. And I think we're going to go into an America exchange, a mirror dollar type of thing. Is it going to be backed by crypto or whatever? I don't know, but it seems that Trump has a good idea of how that would work. And the way I see it working is it would secure our monies to be transferred, and anybody who tries to dump wallets into it are going to be rejected, which means he will crush the dollar to kill them and take our dollar to make ours more productive. So
Right.
Again, that's another part of the system that we have to stay aware of what will happen. And it's going to happen. He's going to have to do it, because how else do you weed out the element of all this? And why did we see over the past 4 years hacking systems like we never had before? Again, the failure of Hollywood, the failure of music, the failure of the systems of war finances, the idle systems. We don't need idle systems. We really don't. What we need is people that go into office and understand that it was us that put them there, placed them there, and they are there to do a job for us. So I think Trump is on that path. He's never going to talk about everything because of the immensity, some of the secrets, and some of the things that would just crush people if they learned the truth on. And I think delicately, they are going to expose a lot and show us a lot. And I would say 9/11 is going to be one of those topics. JFK is going to be, and BFK is going to be, because it's not just one. There was a brother also that months later got shot. This is all part of the thing. And then you have MLK, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, people that had voices, that anybody that had voices were always somehow the ones ridiculed, attacked, and removed. So again, I think we're going to see a big diagnosis of a system coming to light that has a good fabric and approach of how to disclose to the world some of these terrible actions that have taken place against, us people, us as American citizens and more. So we have to, if we get away from these idols, part of that system also falls apart. And a lot of people said, oh, what if this is all about God coming through and he started, it was his choice to rid the planet of all these terrible events in California and all these things that go on. I would say it's who's to say, because how else can you look at it? But we can also look at the facts of the information that we do have. It navigates away from that part of the system when you find out how much truth of really what they were planning comes to light, and why 100 pieces of equipment with no mechanics to fix them are there, and why they're rejecting fire trucks to come in, why in North Carolina couldn't people come in, why can't people get to their homes? We're under a military order presence down there against the people to where they can't even get to their own homes. A military who works for us should never be at war against us.
That's true. Absolutely.
Should never be.
Well,
they should say, what is your name? What is your address? Show me your ID. I will have a Jeep or somebody go up, follow you to your residence, look at it, have closure, but know that you won't have a limited amount of time because we're dealing with a lot. No, they're just saying you're out of here.
If it looks like a rat and it smells like a rat, it's probably a rat.
Yeah.
True. True.
Yeah,
very true.
I agree. But, self-explanation helps awareness when we deal with the public, when we do shows like this. So I guess I got into it a little deep there. But, you're right. A rat is a rat and it will always be a rat. But again, when you look at the systems of what's going on in America, the whole system is a failure. And how do we get a balanced correction going? It's going to be very hard because there's still a system in play, even on Trump's side. It's who you know, gets you on your show, and so on and so on and so forth and so on. And that is a money trail for certain elites still that will exist in this. And I don't want to sound like a bad guy. I don't want to sound like a villain against them. But, the example is still poor.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and we still have to get everybody else on the right track too at the same time. We still have a whole lot of people who think, well, Trump being in office is going to be bad. And I've heard so much coming from certain ends of my family that I don't even know where they're getting it. And I'm like, who told you that? And I try to tell them when they show me a clip and I'm like, wait a minute, I watched that live. That's not what he said. Well, yeah, he did. No, I watched it live. That is not what he said. Somebody did a voiceover. Somebody did something to change that. And they just don't think that we are that far advanced, apparently, that we can do that.
Yeah.
You know, I try to tell them we've got so much that we can do. And it's been this way for years. This is not anything new. And they don't believe it. So we still have a lot of people we have to get on track, because if not, they're going to have to open up mental institutions again all over the place, because they're going to be all sitting there going, you know, they're not going to know what to think.
Experimental asylums.
Yeah, those things.
Yeah, and that's exactly what they were. They were doing experiments, horrific experiments on people. You know, where these places where paranormal teams go into, etc. That was the early part of the government below level 7s, but above ground. Because, you know, there was a time where if you were a Down syndrome child, you were the first one to go through the physical enhancement experiments. Now ladies go out, they get hair, they get ink shot into their eyes, change their eye colors, you know, just their lips pumped up, the button hand, you know, just all these things. Those were the early project procedures that were taking place to see how they could make the advancement move into the future that took us now into synthetics, androids, robotics. It's all related. I guarantee it's all related. And until you go into these rooms, you can't tell me I'm wrong. You cannot tell me I'm wrong. When you go into the rooms, you'll find the proofs. They're there. It's Montauk, it's Monarch, it's all these ill efficiencies. And when you look at it, even to take this into a different narrative, now the 19th, the day of the darkness, if they are to remove TikTok, people are more worried about TikTok going down, but Trump's not. But at the same token, nobody's worried about the fact that China owns 380,000 plus acres in the United States, and we have 0 in China. So there's no equal equity, even though we have been.
Except for the governor of Arkansas kicked out all the Chinese landowners out of Arkansas.
Well, I know that was something that was taken under place, but that's in court. That there was a stop sale procedure that went through. And I'm just saying, being honest on my behalf, I haven't heard anything else, but outside of knowing that it was being challenged in courts. So, yeah, we need to start somewhere, right? We do need to start somewhere, and that's a good start. That's a good element to start.
Absolutely. And, you know, well, it's not like we could ever own any land in China. They're so full right now. I mean, their population for their land is just phenomenal.
They have land. The thing is that they've been micromanaging.
They have a lot of land
into these complexes
to
live and hoard in tiny little apartments like in New York. I think that's how they're used to it. That's why they were happy having parades when Trump won.
Yeah.
They were having parades. They hit the streets with a big Trump. Somebody made it like you would see at the New York Macy's Day Parade. Thing going down the, you know, whatever street it was, but they were actually excited. But so was the rest of the world, weren't they? I mean, because everybody knows America as a leader, and they feel that Trump will be able to lead us back into some type of goodness, you know. And I think that's why everybody's really happy about it. And also some of the other things that are coming up, Trump looking into adding states on. But I think one of the reasons, if you get into the information and become the owner of a country on documented paper, which we may already be, in fact, part of that could be, and also with Greenland, you know, there's reasons why he is going after certain scenarios early and making these calls as not to explain why, but to tell us that he's doing it why. With those reasons, we're going to learn a lot more that way too.
Now, I also heard that, okay, let's see. I also heard that Australia was in that also.
Well, we already, listen, wherever, like, you heard of Occupy Japan, right? It's a pottery.
Yeah.
but it's a time period where the Brits came in, the English came in, and they took over the country with the help of America. Always, America leads the way in, and then we come after. We've done the same thing. We have occupied, but they have also occupied our country, our government. And these were people's leading the parade with the New World Order and anybody else you want to include in it. That was all part of the system of it. And it all started in London in 1976 in a meeting with 35 intelligence agencies who sat down and were giving dictations and booklets about that thick. And it was describing the scenario of their plan, bringing it forth to now. So Trump knows that this stuff is,
inevitable
issues.
Yeah. I mean, and
it's going to be hard, Bren.
I know. But I think if he accepts it, there are a lot of people that are here to help him. I mean, we want our country back. We want it back to where we are the ones that are in control of our government, to where we hire them in. They work for us. We don't work for them. We want out of that mental enslavement that they have had us in for eons. I mean, it's been indoctrinated in my parents, my grandparents' parents, I mean, it's been so long that when you take some of these people that aren't awake, that don't realize it, when they find out that they have been shammed all of their lives, all of their parents' lives, they're going to have a meltdown. Yeah. Where we have sat and studied, researched, took notes, we know. Now, we don't know everything. I'm not even claiming that. I know that you know a lot more than I do. There are some things that I know that you don't know, some things you know that I don't know. And that's okay, because we all learn how to learn from each other. Yeah. But those people they're going to definitely need our help, whether they know it or not, because they're not going to know how to process it.
You're absolutely
We've had time.
Right. But again, what we're all trying to expose, I think, is the fact that it's all been a controlled demolition system through this narrative. I mean, look, if we go back 40 years ago when Clinton and Gore came into office, Professor Gore, who doesn't even have the documentation to prove that, just like Bill Gates, the world's most famous doctor, would come up on Google, gag. But look, he was out there screaming at the top of his lungs, the climate and all this different stuff was going to happen in the car. But what preventive maintenance did they do to prevent anything? China was putting sprinklers in all over their dry lands where fires were going to be more active then. They had sprinkler systems in. Do you think, California was going to do any of that? Hell no. But again, we also know now that we have hurricane season. We have a fire season. It's like, look, you've all been conditioned. And we don't have these things. These are not the way they happen now, natural by any means. It just isn't. But when you have a guy like Gore out there that was trying to dictate to us the facts of it, it made a space in time to come and absorb our minds through conditioning, and us not really knowing the facts of truth till we all started doing the research on everything about what it was, what it meant, understanding the core samples that were drilled out to see how does the planet work? Did we see this come about often? And there were good people doing it. So again, there was 100 rabbit holes on that side of it, and we knew it was all a bullshit scam. Not to say that we aren't getting radiation materials coming from the outer universes. And would they have impacts on the sun and Earth? Of course, these things can and will and may. But one of the more fascinating things, something that I learned most recently, was that came from the astronauts that said they were able to get through that ether, that dome.
Firmament.
Firmament, yeah.
Firmament.
And firmament. And they got through it, but when they
The
did,
heavens.
when they looked back past Earth, it was blank darkness, not a star in the sky. So it looks different up there than it does from here.
Yeah.
So what are we actually viewing when it comes into it? But again, we do know that we have papers and documents that says that there are military bases on Mars. They have been there. They have been established. Anti-gravity has been around for 35, 45 years, 55 years. We also know like Whitney Streamer and people like that were in projects and doing different things. So, you know, or John Deho, I can't think of his name, working in America, working in Australia, working on elaborate aircrafts, anti-gravity aircrafts, figuring out plasma propulsions. I think it's going to start hitting the fan on a lot of things, and the scope's going to be huge. I hope people can keep up. And
I'll tell you what I'm afraid
ever
of.
driving that car, I'm getting blared in the eyes by the headlights terribly.
Oh.
Can you pull your blind on?
There you go.
I'm sorry, brother, but no, really, I have this pigment haze in my left eye, and it was like flash, flash, flash.
Oh.
So the haze turned into blindness.
I'll tell you what I'm afraid of.
It's like the Men in Black. They were like zapping you.
People cannot drive regular on the road. Can you imagine them flying around in cars? Good Lord Almighty. There goes everybody's rooftops.
Yeah. Well, that's part of the future. You know, meet the Jetsons. You know, I mean, wasn't that a fascinating Today show 55, 60 years ago? I used to use that in comparison, sitting around campfires 50 years ago, 40 years ago, I should say, probably would be more accurate, and say, look, I really believe that we're going to be able to FaceTime each other the way they're doing it. No, it's not going to. And I was sticking to my guns, sticking to my research. And oh my God, the path the doors just kept opening, and the proof and the truth, it's all been there. It's all been laid out. And we have things that are probably be so far more sophisticated beyond our belief. All I can say is believe in the unbelievable, because we're going to start experiencing that. And if there is extraterrestrial life that is going to start visiting with us, there's a really interesting video out there with Donald Trump's son. And I don't remember if it was Dr. Michael Sega or not, but they were talking about this, how his father, President Trump, basically made reference to the points in fact about Roswell Area 51, just didn't spill the beans at that point in time. But now, like I said, we're going to see a whole different scenario, and it's starting to come out really strong.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, I mean, I know that the way that it's been put, not necessarily that we're going to be visited, because there are a lot already here. And if anybody knows that there are things here that are not like us, I'm one of them. I've been face to face with them. And I'm going to suggest that they wear cologne and take really good showers, because they smell really bad. But it's not, I think that they've been here. It's just that people have to adapt to them. Not that I think that some of them are going to stay, but we may have to share our planet with others. I mean, and as long as everybody plays nice, I
think through the hybrid programs, that's already been taking somewhat a place, because they don't really, in ways they do harm people, but they are doing something for another reason. I think that's part of why transhumanisms, and I don't want to go into the one thing that I can't talk about.
Right.
But
we get it.
We're trying to biologically put change into humanity through different scenarios, not just take away from humanity, but
add to our DNA.
Yeah. And so when we look at some of the scenarios that there and the people that went through, abductions and so forth, it always goes back to we were the test dummies, but to the government we're their lab rats, and
Yeah.
so that's a different scenario. But to me, it correlates somehow with the evil ones versus the good ones and so forth. But whatever we're going through, for whatever reasons we're going through, I think we could walk down the street and not recognize one, because even if you go back to the points and times of on the tarmacs, with a president.
Well, when you have shapeshifters that can take different shapes and disguise themselves, you're not going to know.
Yeah, like the Una, which the Indians talked about. Are you familiar with the Una?
The
UNA?
Una?
Una? The UNA?
Oh, the UNA. Oh, yeah.
Are you familiar? Do you know what they are?
I don't know what they are, but I have heard.
It's the ant people. The
Okay.
ones that came and took the
like the
people
alien
down below
grays?
level. The ones that took the people down below level, not because of a catastrophic geological. It was because the planet was being invaded and there were sky wars going on. The indigenous were doing it well. Well, look, our history, as you know, in our education system is so far wrong. It's pathetic, and we're learning that. But that is part of who they were. The giant ant. They were a giant ant-looking creature that we know for a fact lived so far deep.
That's what I heard. Somebody said, well, they're bugs.
Well, to some people, you can call them a bug, but when they're 7 feet tall, standing in front of you, I wouldn't want to insult them.
There were giants. There were giants that were, pretty damn tall. So
there were giants in our day. Right. We see footprints of something that was 40, 50 feet tall. I do believe that they may have been actually the builders of the pyramids and so forth. But when you get even to those factors, you have to understand, and you can never take out of the equation, the significance of the technology to create these blocks and different types of structures, and how they looked like they were almost melted and formed together without distorting the fabric of the materials. Because yes, immense amounts of heat can change many, many things. It can make glass. It can do a lot of things. It makes steel. It just depends upon the ores being. They knew these things. They knew these things in ancient times. So
Atlantis was way more advanced than we are even now.
What was that? Atlantis? Okay. Well, again, I'm not going to go off and say I'm with you on this. I really am, but I'm still waiting for that element of proof. Where is it? Where is it sunk to? Are we living on it, not even realizing it? And we need to use LiDAR. Not our government's LiDAR, but our own sophistication of LiDAR and ground penetrating radar, because we don't know all we know is America is a lost history that others were here. When the eclipse came through the United States, it started in California, Lemuria, and went straight across with every biblical name of content. That was the path of the pattern.
Yeah, I think that was I think that was Nibiru just getting in front of the sun to get a charge. That was a mothership. Yeah.
Well, I think if Nibiru would have been here, what we know about
it has been here lots of times.
Every 36,000 years, it's supposed
more than that.
Well,
more than that.
That's the way I understand.
That's just what they say. That doesn't mean
Well,
and who is they?
Yeah, right. And everything we think we know is not actually correct. But we do know one thing, that it's a fiery gas ball, and I've seen proof of that through the telescopical imageries that came back, not through camera lenses, because now we're into new technology here. We don't use lens camera style anymore, or mirrors. We use sensors. The sensors accept the information, rebuild the information, and represents us. And it works with me the same as a camera does next to me, that will do the same. Okay? So what we do know is these things that go within its gravitational pull are oil and different types of scenarios of petroleums, fireball elements. And if it was to come by us and swing into our atmosphere, as they say it can and will do, it would have been an implosion of crustaceans coming in like bombs everywhere, just burning the United States to a disastrous ending. And I'm not saying that that didn't happen. Maybe that's one of the reasons some of the things have happened on this planet. But, you know, we're finding hammers and stones that are 250,000 years old. So there was an Iron Age back then. From somebody. Göbekli Tepe, they say it's the oldest thing. I don't believe by far that's the oldest thing. I think we still are going to find things, and the government for sure knows about them.
Well, you know, if you have time travel, right, and then there's really no way to put a time frame on time if you can go back and you can go forward, and then you can create more time within the present time. So there's no way you can measure time, period, ever.
Well, I know if I was to go back in time and remove somebody from that period, when I came back here, they would be here. Because that's how the element of time passed, because you can't remove what happened.
You can create some changes. You can. It's like the Mandela effect. You can change some of the elements can change, but not all of it. You
can change a cardboard box or a monocle from the Monopoly game. Yes, on one game box he has it, on another game he doesn't. I agree with you.
Now in the Bible, I read it like 7 times, and it changed. It went from, it used to say, like in Deuteronomy and Exodus, it used to say that all that enter the womb, that enter the womb are mine, but then it changed about 2012 to now all that enter the matrix is mine. Then I got this stupid people who said, oh, well, that's because they reprinted the Bibles and they're new Bibles. I go, no, dumbass. Look, go take your great-grandma's Bible that's 100, 200 years old. Go read that motherfucker. Excuse my French, okay? But I'm telling you, people are stupid, okay? Look, I'm getting really passionate about this because, look, this shit is real, okay? Now, the Mandela effect, you say, go back there and read a Bible that your grandma had in your attic from 200 years ago. It's going to say matrix. That word was not in the Bible, okay, 200 years ago. King James did not use the word matrix, okay? So, no, it's not a new Bible. It's a Mandela effect. And I literally watched as the Bible was changing words in front of my face when these things were happening. I watched words changing from one word to another. Okay. So, and just like the movie with Kevin Costner and his Field of Dreams, and it says, oh, if you go and you get your old VCRs, if you still have those, or DVDs or whatever it was you had it on, and you go play that movie, everybody remembers the famous saying, build it and they will come. That is not in the movie anymore. It doesn't say build it and they will come. It says build it and he will come. That is an actual Mandela effect change. Just like even Forrest Gump, his famous saying where my mama used to always say, life is like a box of chocolates. Well, life isn't like a box of chocolates anymore. It was like a box of chocolates. And that's another word change. So there's plenty of things that have literally changed, and that is real.
Yes, they changed the timelines on some of the wordings as well. They've added chemtrails to the backgrounds and the skies. They do things to make things look like what you're seeing now. Nothing's changed, and this has always been the normalcy. That is how they are protecting to cover up what the truth of the element is.
Oh, you had false memory. Whatever, dude. I don't have no false memory.
They try to say that.
King James was one of these guys who really didn't read a book. He just gave information to people.
King James was a very evil MF, okay?
Yes, he wrote books on demonology.
Yes, he did.
A lot of people don't.
And he killed and he murdered 80,000 people.
of
and
Aleister
he was
Crowley.
homosexual, and
Aleister
yeah.
Crowley praised his books.
Well,
Oh,
yeah,
God.
he was Satan. He was Satan in that time frame, and Satan has manifested many times in many lifetimes.
Yeah.
You know, Judas included. You know,
And when you go to the Vatican, you see these recreations of what they interpreted the things and people look like, and they're grotesque.
Yeah.
They're not of what we see as us as beautiful humans, but of the dark nightmares era thing. And the portals opening and the portals being placed over the United States and the opening of the unsealing these doors, which still make no sense to anything because they lost the election. What are you going to try now? Because if you try anything too hard, we're going to have to send a bunch of B-52s over there and just implode you. And I think Trump's going to keep that scenario in mind. How else do you take down something like that? But you're absolutely correct. But that's part of that Mandela effect of change. But again, when you get into the things of time and changing time, Andrew Basiago, are you familiar with him?
yeah, I talked to Andy on the phone for about 3 hours.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that is
I was part of. I was sort of almost drug into the Pegasus project. They picked me because I had the fastest hand and eye coordination in the state of Ohio, and so there was. But my mom ended up fleeing with me to the Virgin Islands, so I didn't end up in that Pegasus. But it was the Pegasus testing, is what. So I called Andy, and we had a long talk about the Pegasus project and the 42 children that were involved in time travel. Because I actually had situations where I would, like one time I went into a room, and this was like after this, I went into this room, and all of a sudden I looked out the window and I saw the seasons changing like rapidly, like winter, summer, spring, and fall. I was living in Jacksonville, Florida, and I'm like, what the hell? And I watched time just fly by. And then the room changed into my sister's room back in Ohio from this room I was in. And I was just like watching this whole thing happen. And then all of a sudden, the room switched back. It went back. And so I've had dreams since I was a child. I see the future.
Were you ever near the coronavisor?
I'm aware of what the coronavisor is and stuff like that. And, you know, I've heard about that. I mean, since I was a child, I would see the future, and I would tell my mom, this is going to happen tomorrow, and it happens. She had an art gallery. I'd see the paintings before they'd come in. I'd say, you're going to get this bird, or you're going to get this owl, and it would come in, and she'd say, how do you know these things? I said, how do you think I know these things? Only God. God tells me these things. And I've been in touch with God since I was a child. So
that's really cool. I got to stop you there just because I have interest here. All right. So, so explain to me then what your interpretation of this encounter was like.
What interpretation of seeing the future?
No, God.
Oh, what is God
it?
is a spirit.
Is it a she? Is it energy? Is it part of the ether? Is it part of the universal structure of intelligence? Unseen.
God is an invisible. God is an invisible spirit. You can't see him. You can't touch him.
So then he's an energy.
He
would be an energy then, or she, or it.
Yeah.
I would be a better way to describe who he is. Energy. Yeah. Yeah. He has no shape or form. He just is, you know, but I do hear his voice. He has spoken to me many, many times, and but I don't see him in the form.
He refers to himself. He refers it as I am, because
I don't know. He never has said he was I am to me. He just
written. It's written though. But yeah, right.
Well, those are biblical words that are with Anunnaki gods, Sumerian gods. So I don't follow the Sumerian Anunnaki gods of the Bible. Okay, the God that I believe in is before the Bible, before everything. He existed before all that, and he's an invisible God who is a loving, compassionate, and a good God. That's the God that I know.
Okay. So for me, finding within that structure of your explanation, not that I disbelieve it, is how something of nothing is there present and can be everything in the loving manner, or even if
I'll give you an example.
Manner,
I'll
how
give
that
you a
element is.
physical.
Because it's our senses and feelings
I'll give you a
combinating.
physical story. I was taken out in the woods when I was 18. Well, no, 19, 18. Yeah, 18. I think it was 18 or 19. Not well. That would have been 1979. Okay, because I am 60. What 4 years old right now?
Okay.
Okay, so I was taken out in the
You're young.
woods
Don't worry about it. You're good.
by Otis Toole and Henry Lucas, the two serial killers. They took me out to murder me. And Toole was driving the car. Lucas was in the passenger seat. I was in the back seat with my girlfriend. They took us Jacksonville, Florida, drove off this little road along the St. Johns River, and Toole got out of the car. Toole said, "Hold on a second." He looked into the car to say something to Lucas. And at that time, I had knew that they were going to kill me, so I was going to pick up a rock and hit him upside the head in his temple and then make a run for it. And I was going to run, right? Because that I saw movies, I knew what what was going on, because they it's dark. They take me out in this dirt road, and in the woods, and it's a pretty remote place. Well, when I went to reach to grab that rock, and there is a scripture that says that the Lord is my rock and my high tower, my shield, my buckler, my salvation, right? Well, when I saw this rock, I went to grab the rock, and I heard the voice of God. First time I heard it audibly in them woods. And the voice said, "Trust me." And it was a deep male voice, said, "Trust me." And I looked around and I said, "Trust you? How can I trust you? I can't even see you. Like, how do you have faith in what you cannot see? And how do you trust what you don't see? How is something invisible going to save me from these murderers? And how am I going to, because I'm hearing a voice, but I'm not seeing anything. Okay. And at that point, he came back and he says to me, "We're going to walk over to the road because my friend is acting weird, and I'm going to get him out of the car, and then I'm going to drive over there, and I'm going to pick you up." And I knew that he was lying, and we started to walk a few steps, and he looked at me. He was like 6'7", and I'm only like 5 foot tall, so he's a big old guy. And he says to me, he says, "I'm going to rape you, and I'm going to murder you, and I'm going to throw your body into the St. Johns River when I'm done. I'm going to take out all of life's frustrations out on you." Now, he was a Satanist who was a cannibal who used to like to eat people, okay? He also was part of a CIA operation where they were serial killers, that they worked for the CIA. They went around the United States getting paid to murder people, okay? And he belonged to the Satanic Church there in Jacksonville, Florida. This was a really bad dude, okay? And I looked at him and I said to him, "Did anybody ever tell you that Jesus loves you?" And he said, "What? You mean to tell me that I tell you that I'm going to kill you, and you tell me that Jesus loved me?" And I said, "Yeah, even if nobody in this whole world didn't love you, he loves you." Well, I thought that was going to work, right? I thought that was like the best, whatever. I mean, I hear God say, "Trust me," and I tell him that, but it didn't work. He tried to grab me. I ended up jumping and getting away from him, and he grabbed me by the ankle, and I kicked him off my ankle, and I started to run away. And when I looked over my shoulder to see where he was, to see how much adrenaline I was going to need to get away from this crazy person, when I looked at him, his face was right there behind my head. And when I saw him, he ran into an invisible wall, like a glass wall. It looked like he ran into like a sliding glass wall or a door or something. And he hit it so hard that it smashed his face, and his nose turned sideways, and his hands splatted on it. And so that God that said to me, "Trust me," he was invisible, but he was there. He was solid. I mean, he was, I couldn't see him. I could hear him, but I couldn't see him. But he was there, and he protected me that day. And I got away, and I prayed for my girlfriend. She escaped. She came back the next day after being raped, and she said that guy that said he was going to kill you sat in a chair all night long, and all he could say was, "She had God. She had God. She had God." Now, I will say they went around the country murdering people for a long time, and then later on, Lucas ends up getting caught in Bastrop, which I lived in Bastrop, by the way, after that, which is really strange. He ends up having an encounter with Jesus in prison and ends up becoming Christian, and they both turn their life over to Christ, these serial killers. So, who's to say? But that is my story about an invisible God who showed up and protected me. So I can't say that I saw him, but he was real.
Something was real. I get it.
Yeah.
And that could have even have been, look, I'm not trying to be negative here, but what if that was just simply alien technology and mind control? I'm just saying, this is the hard part. So
Michael is one of those that will go around.
Well, it's just that it's been this way with me since I was a child, and
you're not alone there. That's why I do what I do.
Yeah.
I've been on that same type of road, knowing before it happens, instinctively posting things before it occurs. I do it all the time. I don't know where it comes from, but I know somehow something other is working through me, in me. It's part of me. I don't know why. But I do get where you're coming from. I still don't know how to analyze what happens to me. That's why it's interesting for me to ask.
I'm going to tell you, okay, a lot of things like the abilities that I have, I've had them since my first remembrance was 5 years old. I know that I was drugged a couple of times when I was younger, but I've never been put through that I know of. I mean, I would think I would know by now. I've never been put through any kind of MK Ultra, mind control, stuff like that. But I do connect with Susie on some line because her and I will finish each other's dreams. She'll have a dream.
Yeah, I'll have a dream.
I'll have a dream and I'll finish it. And we're on the phone together going, hey, guess what? And we're both trying to get out what we said.
Well, we were under an attack by a satanic group of people. And I was battling them in the astral plane. And then where my dream finished the next night, Brenda ended up having the same dream with the same people, told me what was going on. Then I had it the third night. And then, it was crazy. I mean, we do this a lot. Yeah.
It was, and it ended up being that's what it was. She had thought there was something wrong with this group of people, but she didn't know for sure. And they claimed that they turned their lives around and, they were going to church and they were doing all good. But it was just one of those things where we both felt, no, something is not right. Something's very off. And it ended up being just that. No, they weren't turning their life around. They were with that cult of gaming. Have you ever heard of that? Where the kids get on there and they game and they get with this certain group of people and they talk these kids into killing themselves. They were after her son.
Suicide cult. Yeah. They were after my son.
Yeah. And that's what it ended up being. And we didn't know anything about it until we figured that out. And she went and looked into it. And that's exactly what it was. So, her and I, Susie and I, we do things so different. I have been known that if I have 3 dreams, it's got to be 3. And what happens in that dream comes true. That happened to me when I was little.
Kind of like a DMT rush, huh?
So, yeah. So when I dream, sometimes I get very upset with what I dream, depending on what it is. Now, I also have been known in my dreams that I've changed them. So I know it's possible to change your dreams.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. I feel bad though. We got Steve here with us, and
oh yeah, Steve.
This is laying low. What's up, my brother? I'm glad to see the. Can you help me out here? I'm being attacked.
He's shopping.
You're out shopping. Where are you at shopping, bro?
Where you at today? Walmart.
Yeah, I'm out at Walmart.
Yeah.
Supporting the devil's ministries. I know. It's in the system. It's either you shop with him.
There's feedback.
Again, another part of that destructive system. I'm trapping up to only be able to go here, there, or wherever. Kill the small business. I get it, but we don't have a choice, do we?
No.
I hope choices start to come to light. I really do. But nice to see you again. If I didn't before, or what, nice to meet you, or et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
Get a plane in your back windshield.
Yeah.
Well,
we have every once in a while.
Michael, when I was in kindergarten, I learned about God, and my mom put me in a Lutheran school, and they were talking about God, and I said, "Who is God?" And this lady said, "God is everything." And when I walked outside and I looked at everything, I said, "I love this God." Okay, and so I had 3 nightmares in a row right after this happened, and they were prophetic nightmares about different people that would come into my future that would kill people that I knew. And I saw this when I was in kindergarten, and I was so, as a child, as a young child, I was like, oh my God. And I said, God, please take away these bad dreams and give me good dreams. So from then on, I would see things in the future, and I would tell my mom, these things, and she'd say, how do you know these things? And you got to stop telling, it just, and I could see, I sometimes I see day visions. I will see things. Um, I hear God speak to me. I spent about 3 years every night, and God took me around the world and showed me everything. He told me things. He showed me things. One time we flew. I said, I want to know everything there is about creation from the very beginning to now. And so he took me astrally. He would take me out of my body all the time. He would take me astrally, and we flew from one end of the earth to the other. And when we went to the end of the earth, we were coming back, and I saw these 2 circles over the earth. And I said, what is that? And he said, everything is connected. There are no loose ends. And he said, now, did you understand everything I told you? And I said, yes. But of course, when I got back, I couldn't remember everything he told me because it was a lot of information, But, he would tell me things and show me things. And, this is the kind of thing I've had since I was a child. I come out of my body a lot. I see things. I fight demons. I've had many encounters, with a lot of things. I've seen a lot of things. I've heard a lot of things. And for some reason, I seem to be introduced to these high ranking, killers, and have stories, right, Brenda? I mean, it's crazy. I mean, only God knows, but
wear your
yeah.
hair up at night and see if it changes.
The what?
Wear your hair up at night and see if it changes.
Oh.
Wear my hair up at night.
Yeah. I was told by somebody who is very involved in theology, who I have a lot of respect for. And if I said his name, and it doesn't even matter, but he is a remarkable person who has, researched into these books forever and ever. And I said to him one day, what is God? And he said to me, let me think, God is everything we cannot explain.
That's right.
Right.
And he says, we're never going to know who God is, because the question of nothing becoming into something is still remains nothing. But yet we are here.
That's right.
I believe that. I kind of believe it like this. It's like certain people will know God, and certain people will never know God. And that's just the way it's going to be. Okay? Because it's just how it is. So, it is what it is, right?
Right. I get it.
Some people are awake, some people aren't. Yeah.
No, I get it. And I understand where you're coming from. It's just, to me, we are part of what everything of creation is. The same as a tree and a bug, man and women, creation. You get where I'm coming from? The trees know how to pollinate to each other. Plants do. There's nothing here that does not represent creation on this planet unless we destroy it. And then it no longer exists. But with that in mind, I believe we are, in fact, and maybe in that reality, you were having those conversations conversations possibly with yourself, not even knowing it.
Well, I know we
No,
were taught that we should listen to our
no.
inner
I mean,
selves.
yeah. I mean, I understand, the higher self thing, but no, this is different. Um, no. But you're welcome to
I'm
your
not
own
trying to
thoughts and
be
your
rude.
own.
I'm
Yeah,
trying to just focus
yeah,
point. That's all.
yeah.
I
I
mean,
just have
because
to say
there
no.
do we not all talk to each other as if, and don't, no one's going to tell me we don't. The same as nobody can ever tell me that we don't all hold. Every single individual on this planet does not hold secrets that they will never tell anybody, not even a spouse at times. You cannot tell me there's not something in Pandora's box that you have never openly talked about for whatever reasons they are. An incident, an accident in your own pants. There's just things we're never going to talk about. No, I have to say it
Well,
like
you're
that to
true.
make people's
That's true.
minds open up their minds to those facts of that.
Right.
So I'm in that trapezoid area of not being trapped or not disbelieving. I believe.
Yeah.
I'm not sure exactly the identification, the
I guess
identity.
it's really not important, Michael, if whether they believe it or not, or who really freaking cares. I mean,
I think I care because I want to experience the things that we've been conditioned to believe in. Not because the Pope says if you give to the Mass every week, or the Monsignor says you devote yourself to Christ every Sunday. No, not for those reasons.
one of the things
I do it
that
for the
Jesus
bigger
said,
element. I do it for the bigger element.
look, one of the things that Jesus taught, and it wasn't, through the religious, okay, he said, if you know yourself, you'll know everything. So you got to know yourself. You got to figure out yourself. You got to go within yourself and know yourself. Then you'll know everything.
And to me, you'll never know yourself until your journey ends.
Well,
when it concludes. That's when you have
to go within. Yeah. You got to go within.
Conclusion in order to analyze it. And that's the only way to do it. When you look at anything with, consciousness.
See, because that spark of God, that light of God is within each human. So you can go within yourself to that spark, to that light. You can find God within.
Yes, the double helix, the God, the thing that describes us as being Him, as the creator of one of the creator, of something of creation that we are, because we prove it by having children and all those other things, and and every other living being on this planet, as I said, does. Again, I think that is all been part of the placement that humanity always needs to be saved, always needs to be rebuilt, always needs to be repurposed or rebranded. And we go through these elements of time because people can pray to the end of time and they still fall victim in time. They pray, but nothing comes from it. So my thing is the blanket of
it depends on the prayer. It would depend on the prayer, Michael. Look, it would depend on the prayer, really.
Well, I'm a pastor, so I've been doing this for a long time. It's just I'm on a different realm of scope of what I look into because I analyze the teachings that were placed and the writings that were placed and try to combine them into the common sense that remains within that fabric. Because I can marry, I can come pray for you, I can have a massive church, I can do all these things. I chose to move away from that because of a corruptional part in that part. I didn't want to be part of sitting down at a meeting and somebody telling me, take this paper to the hospital and have this dying person sign it before their family gets there. I was totally not on board with these types of practices. To keep something wealthy over a family's wealth, because that is part of a hand-on of what belongs to the people as a government property, as what the Vatican really is, of convenience for how they.
I believe in a true God. I do not believe in religion. Okay, I don't follow religion per se.
Same here. I don't. I'm with you on that. I mean, I will Here's the difficult part that I've always gone through. When you talk about these things through people, it's best to always believe in their belief, because that's compassion, that's love, that's purity, that's peace, that's everything that people deserve. You give it to them, you offer that to them, you respect them for it. It
Well, it's
doesn't
just
mean
that
that
we don't judge them. We don't, we let God be the judge. We just live our life, do our best, treat people right, and we don't judge them.
right.
Unless, of course,
I'm
that
just
they
the
need to
man
go
in the
to
middle.
court for something horrible that they did, then that would be a different case. But you know what I mean.
Yeah.
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 Now, on that note, I am going to say this. Be very careful what you ask for. Like,
I don't
have
ask.
always heard
I just
people when they
I
pray,
just
they
stand
always say,
for it.
yeah, I've always heard people, when they pray, God, can you do this for me? And can you? So one day, just one night, I straight up didn't ask for protection for anybody. I didn't ask for none of that. I just said, Father, what can I do for you? What do you want me to do for you? And boy, I'll tell you what, he answered that. He answered that in a way that, I guess, that whole saying that God does never give you anything you can't handle, because what that opened up was a whole new can of worms of getting something and somebody very deceitful away from Susie.
Yeah.
Almost
Almost got you killed. Yeah.
it almost took my own life, but it 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 was okay. I made it. God send me an angel, because I'm going to tell you that is exactly what happened. And it did. It helped Susie. It helped Susie open her eyes to something that she was blind to for many, many years.
And I think that it opened for a very public announcement of somebody who was very evil, so everybody could know for sure this person was evil. Yeah.
And I
It was
did. I took
bigger
one
than
for
me.
the
It was
team.
bigger than me.
I took one for the team. I did. And
You did.
so now when I pray, Father, is there something you'd want me to do that I can accomplish for you without harming myself? I'm careful now. I am so careful now. Isn't even funny, because that landed me in the hospital for 14 days. I had 6 doctors sitting around scratching their heads trying to figure out why I was dying, why all my organs were shutting down, why everything was 3 times the size of my gut that it should have been. And they were looking at me like, they wanted to go back to school. And I go to a very good hospital. It's a teaching hospital. But they had no idea.
Remember, it's like law. It's called practicing law, practicing medicine. They
Yeah.
call it that because the teachings were never true.
Well, I taught them something that they had no idea what was going to happen. And I'm here to tell you, it took one night for everything in my body to just level out. And he said, I'm not sure what's going on with you, but everything is leveled out now. And you can go home tomorrow. And he's just looking at me. He's like, I don't know why we're not putting you in the grave right now, but for whatever reason it is, you had an angel on your shoulder and you can go home tomorrow. And I'm like, yeah, let me out of here. I'm not getting any rest here. Let me go home. But yeah, it was something. But listen, guys, we're going to take our 5-minute break so that Michael can refill up on coffee. Susie can refill up on coffee, and I can go, I guess, make coffee because I don't have any. And so we're going to take a 5-minute break. This is what we do on this channel in between our 2 hours. We take a break. We've gone a little over because we started a little early. But yes, Norma, absolutely close. But so we're going to go ahead and do that as soon as I find, because I don't know.
But you were visited by a woman in the hospital named
was,
Anna Mae.
I was visited by
That
somebody.
was not a real person, not
Nope.
as far as we know. And she
I thought
came to
she
me
was a
in a
nurse.
dream later on. Yeah, I actually met her in a dream after you did. Like we finished each other's dreams. Yeah. So that was kind of, I actually met her too.
That was absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
She was an amazing person or entity or angel, spirit, whatever you want to call her.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right, guys, 5 minutes. We'll be right back.
5-minute break. Okay.
Uh-oh. Okay.
Okay.
So Michael will be back. He's getting coffee.
Yeah, probably so.
You got
You know, uh, there's some
Ben?
feedback or something.
No, I don't know why that
Oh, huh?
you can't hear me?
barely get a lot of
Yeah, it's
feedback
kind
going
of
on.
like feedback. There's like feedback or something.
Yeah, I don't know
I
why.
don't know if it's just when he's in the car or something. It does that only, you
Well, no,
know.
because it was doing it in Walmart too. So I don't
Yeah,
know why it's doing it. So, anyways,
that's weird.
so I think that we had somebody in our chat that didn't belong there when we first started.
Okay.
I told Denise to keep an eye on that person, and she did, and I haven't heard anything yet. So maybe they just
Okay, good.
quieted down. But
Right?
was asking a lot of questions about Michael, and Michael and I have already turned around and talked about that person. So only
Okay.
because of the connections that he has, it would be too much. I mean, that was somebody that she would definitely want to snag, but it won't happen. I've known him way too long. So
Yeah.
one of these days, I'm going out there and we're gonna go sit and have coffee and go over paperwork. And lots of it.
Right? Oh my God, for sure.
Oh yeah. Uh-oh. Yes, absolutely. You got it.
Oh my God.
Leave it to Steve.
Okay. Hilarious.
That was
Freaking
hilarious,
hilarious.
Steve. He's like, I know who it was.
Oh my God.
Yep. And Denise did
Yeah.
good because I messaged her. I'm like, keep an eye on this person. She's like, I'm already on it. I'm like,
Well, you know what we were talking about, Brenda. He was, you know, I probably would. He probably can hear us, but you know, I was thinking when we were talking, and and you'd said that prayer. We were talking about prayer and certain things you say in prayer, right? And
yes,
and I was thinking, I don't know how long ago it was, like maybe 2, 3 weeks ago, a month ago. I told you I was out there on the ATV, and I heard a
yes,
voice say, "Yeah, I heard a voice say, 'Are you in?'"
right.
And I was just like, "Am I in?" Like I'm trying to figure out what that means or who's talking to
Right.
me or
It all depends
and
on
I'm
what I'm in for.
yeah. Right. Am I in? And I'm like, "Am I in?" Wait a minute here. I think I said, so I stopped for a minute. I said, "Am I in?" And I thought, well, if it's about righteousness and doing right and doing good, and it's for the right reason, yeah, I'm in, right? And so
Yeah,
I thought, well, you know, I don't know who the voice was, and you know, didn't recognize the voice. I didn't. I like it. Just said, "Are you in?" And I'm like, okay. So then about what 4 or 5 minutes later, I'm driving along and I hear the most beautiful, kindest voice like I've ever heard in my life. And the voice said, "Daughter." And I went, "Daughter?" I'm trying to think who just said daughter. And then all of a sudden I was like, "Oh my God. God just called me daughter." Like he
right.
was like very happy that I said I would be in. Cause see, my whole life I kind of got now, whether or not did I ask for it, maybe I did. Maybe I did. Maybe I did because maybe you did too, Brenda. Maybe we were just that kind of adventurous kind of people that said, you know, "Lord, send me. I'll go do it. I'll do it, God, you know, send me." You know, and
I
then
know
you
what
go,
coaching.
"Shit. Why did I say that?" You know what? You know, I didn't know it was going to be like that, you know, like you know.
Now I can explain to Michael something that would hold you kind of curious. All right. I've heard people talk to me before in my sleep when I drink. Okay. But however, one night I did have a dream where I went somewhere with a voice. Now, the difference is when you hear a voice coming from the Father, it is calming. You are not afraid. You don't feel the need to ask questions. You are just okay with the flow. You know what I mean? Just one
Yeah.
of those where you feel safe. You would feel safe. And I've only had that happen to me one time. Just one time. You know, the rest of the time it's like, oh yeah, okay, whatever, jackass. But you know, but just one time I have had that voice of reason, that voice of peace. And when I did go somewhere, if I looked and I was like, what is that? They're like, just, the voice said, just watch. Just watch.
Yeah.
And I went and I seen things that I couldn't even explain, didn't know exactly. Like people talk about Atlantis. Well, I never knew what Atlantis looked like. I never thought about it. Something under the sea. This is what I did. But I seen it above water, and it was made of gold and almost pearlish, like stepping stones, and just beautiful, beautiful. And I would have never thought that that's what it looked like, ever. But I seen it that day. And I knew what it was without even being told what it was. So it was amazing, honestly.
Yeah, sounds like they had some pretty fascinating technology, huh?
Yeah, they sure did. Because I'd like to know where they found, you know, but I do that all the time. Like Steve and I want to do a show with him, you know, because he wants to do one on the World's Fairs and the buildings they had back then. Well, how did they make these way back in the early centuries of when they show us people that don't even have cars? They go around a horse and buggy, but yet they have buildings that
Tartarian.
they put together without power tools.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, they
What?
had them. We know they had them. I mean, we
Oh
had
yeah.
electric fence 200 years ago with
Right.
batteries. I mean,
Yeah.
it's how far you research, but you're not wrong. You're not wrong, and he's not wrong. It's pretty
Right.
amazing. And why do they keep destroying the past? It's to hide
Yes.
more of the truth.
That I
Because
think that
these
comes in
things,
with that
Satan,
whole
Satan does
reset.
that. Satan does that.
I
He's
think
been
it's the
trying to
whole
destroy
reset.
us for a long
look,
time.
man's actions do it. I don't know
I
Satan,
where it
agree.
comes
Satan
from
does.
that puts him on that
Yes.
path, but anything that
Yes.
I ever seen get removed through my life was not through any horrific scenarios of devastation. Was
Well,
man
the physical
replacing?
is connected to the spiritual, so it's all connected.
Well,
It's all a connection.
I do get that. I don't know what
Yeah.
creates that seed and what creates that part of the plant of this method to flourish the way that it does, but I do know and question a lot of the things as to why. You know, I just do. But
I,
that's a
I
really good topic because like the
now,
World's
now
Fair,
tell me. Yeah. Now tell me if I'm wrong. Okay. Tell me if I'm wrong on this. Okay. So I think that the reason why they keep resetting and destroying is because some, like us now, get a little too far ahead of ourselves and we figure things out and they want to put a stop to that. Basically, that's where they do the reset. Like they get rid of the people who are in knowledge. And at that age, that's why they used to do it like, well, they could do it 150 years because who's going to still be alive 150 years? You know what I mean?
and that's why the Vatican only opens things every 75 years, 100 years, or in the
Right.
United States you wait until they're dead, their family's dead, and you have no action to go back on for criminalities and more. It's always been a wage of that type of mechanism, you know,
Right.
this
Oh,
machine and how it operates.
right.
Knowing
And
it
this
and
time,
understanding it comes from early Masonic.
yes. And this
teaching
time,
even
I
under
think they
Jesus.
can't do that. I think that they cannot completely do that this time. There are too many people, too many Gen X and baby boomers that are still alive and still healthy and still running around. And we know. So they can't do that. They'd have to take us out first, which I think that's what that other thing that we were talking about that we can't talk about. I think that was what that was supposed to be for.
Possibly.
And it didn't work on a lot of us older ones that were going, no, that don't sound right.
Well, again, too, it was structured to work, and the shedding was supposed to take place after to continue the long game of depops,
Yeah.
in ways. I'm trying not to get into that.
Right.
But I mean, yeah, when we look at it, I think we all know the answers. I'll just say that. But yeah, everything was a planned element of event. And when you say that the United States isn't guilty of any of it, gain of, everybody knows the last word, was being toyed with in many ways. And when we get into these scenarios of the needle juice and all that crap that exists, there was a plan for that all. They had every celebrity, every media outlet, all promoting. They were standing there right on television, telling us that they were having this lethal.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm again watching because you said they come at you, and I get it. But they were all lies. Look, I mean, to keep it going, Obama gave $30 million to China.
Oh, yeah.
Line. And do they have ways to release things? Sure. Look at some
Do
of
they
the
use
stuff.
them? Yes.
Look at some of the stuff we see in the sky. You can spread things everywhere, and they're doing it. There's a lot going on. They have a lot of ways to do it. They've made a lot of plans. And when it comes to what goes on up there with even these little elements of toys that are flying around that people are questioning, oh, it's from China. There's this giant mothership out over the ocean that's releasing. It's your government.
Yep.
It's your government. And I know that through people that were actually at that desk in London in 1976.
Well, Steve and I did a show on the drones and the orbs, and I turned around and said, first of all, we're not going to talk much about the drones because people, it's your government. It's ours. It's man-made. Those are ours. Okay. Just get that. I don't care who's saying it's not. It is. And I'm going to leave it there.
Hey, did you see that movie, Angel Fallen? And it's about a drone that tries to kill a President Trump.
Oh, you broke up for a minute.
Have you seen that, Angel Fallen?
No.
Oh, am I broke up? I'm okay.
Yeah, you're all right now. Have you seen that, Michael?
I'm aware of it, but I haven't.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh, Susie. Your internet's saying no, no, no.
Yeah, it's being bad right now.
Are you having rain or anything right now, Susie? Oh, yeah, her internet bouncing up and down. Yeah, give it a minute. Sometimes because where she's at, if they're having any storms, wind, or rain, it messes with her internet.
There's nothing.
Hang on, Susie. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
For now, but your internet keeps going up. And
there's a movie. Okay, there's a movie. Fallen.
I know.
I'm gonna.
Try going out and coming back in. See if it helps reset you.
Movie. Can you see?
Yes. Yeah. Susie.
We've heard all that.
We did hear that, but your internet is breaking up. Go out and come back in and see if that doesn't fix it. No, Susie. Hang on. I might have a way to be able to fix this. Hang on. Hang on. That's funny. Let me, there we go.
Anyway, yeah, I did hear of it. No, I didn't watch it. I'll make sure I write the title down when she comes back in. I'll check into it. I like looking at things different, especially in the dense winter times that are upon me here in the Northeast. But yeah, it's just like when child immunizations.
Oh, yeah.
And when you go back in time, elements of how they deliver things. Were they looking for something? Were they using technologies possibly? And maybe it was the white hats looking for these underground military installations that were being bad, so to speak.
Right.
Were they delivering something? Because we know they have payload capacity holding systems within some of them, depending upon their sizes. We also know we have robotics that act like bullets, bees. They basically can fly, find anything of human temperature, hit it in the head. They have the information. It's crazy. They have things that are so far more sophisticated than people realize. Birds
Yes.
that are basically just robotics, and we couldn't tell them to look at them. But that's because of how long this game's been going on behind the closed doors. It's so big. And it's so harmful when you really think about how big it is and the capabilities that lie within it. That's why, like I said, I always fear the one that holds the finger to the red button, because he's our worst enemy, and we can have good people and bad people, but it don't mean they're going to act responsibly, And to me, having people in charge of our lives, there's a good part to it, but there's also a very significant bad part that follows within that also,
Right.
But I mean, they create everything for a reason. And I can't see anything of how we have evolved where their hands have not been a party to every part of it. Whether
That's
it's a
true.
permit for your house because you need a permission slip, you need a license to get married because, again, you need a license, and if we create enough of everything, we distort everything. And the longer people keep accepting this is just a system, it's okay. If it's not okay,
That's right. It's
nothing
not.
about it is okay.
That's right.
All right, tell me the movie again.
Angel Fallen.
All right, I'm gonna write that down. What's it on? Like Netflix or?
Yeah.
Angel
Hey, you were
Fallen.
breaking up so bad, Susie. We were only getting.
It was, yeah. I'm not going to say what I would say to her if we weren't online.
So the character that plays the body, the Secret Service agent who protects President Trumbull in the movie from getting attacked by the drones. Okay, that's what it's about. The drones attacking the president. Okay.
So is it Ben Affleck
in that movie? No, but the main guy, I don't know his name, but his character name is Michael. Now that's important because Michael Aquino. Okay, just because of the military, Colonel Michael. So the guy in the movie played in a movie called The Gods of Egypt. And in The Gods of Egypt, he played Set or Satan.
Uh-oh.
That's as he reincarnated, of course, many times Satan has been on this planet, so many times you can't even count. But and he started the Temple of Set. Now this character plays Set in that movie. Now in this movie, Michael's the middle name, Ross, or Angela, Michelangelo,
Susie,
Michelangelo,
Susie,
Aquino.
Susie,
Yeah,
Susie. Aquino does not want you talking about him. I'm going to tell you right now.
never did, never does. Yeah.
I can tell because you have just been blinking out the whole entire time you've been trying to talk about that movie.
All right, just for a test purpose, let's talk about something else. Just for a minute, and then we'll go back here just to see if the algorithms are causing this. So
Right?
having these experiences with the creator, who you believe you're in direct contact with and have been through your life periodically. So how do we look at when we hear about like the Lady of Fatima and some of these other countries that are experiencing what they consider to be the Virgin Mary coming with messages of peace and future significances?
No.
So, I mean, what is
What are we
that?
supposed to take with
Is that
about that?
alien influence, or
I
is this
think so. I think so because
It
the
would
thing of it
depend.
is,
It would
well, but that would be
it would
kind of
depend.
taking,
It would.
yeah, but that would be, wouldn't that be taking from something that is not God? I mean,
Some of
how do
it
we
could
explain that?
be. Some of it could be alien. Some of it could be. It could be like, you know, some of it could be very much meant to confuse people. Some of it could be sincere, and they can ride on the skirts of sincerity, and then they could do the blue beam stuff, with their technology. The aliens could,
we're talking
if they want
200
people to
years
go in a
ago
certain
report?
direction.
We're talking
Yeah.
reports as
Huh?
long as we're talking about reports as long as 200 years ago that are on record.
Yeah,
We're not talking about now in the present. Lady of Fatima
you're talking
is
about the Fatima.
100 years ago.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Well,
And that could be, you know, like I'm saying, it depends on the situation, but some of that could be real. Some of it might not be real. Some of it could be, you know, alien. It could be. You have to use your discernment, when you check into these things. You can't just, believe everything you hear or see, right? You got to test everything. You got to research everything. You got to like dissect everything that was said, everything that happened, find out if there's an agenda behind it, maybe a Vatican agenda behind it, or, you know, maybe there's some validity to it. Maybe it could be angelic, you know?
Yeah, it's kind of hard to question the facts when so much time is come. But what you do have is some books that were written and informations that were collected by other people. And it always comes back to also the healing and the people following, the crying statues, all these different scenarios that occur that become a place of a sanctuary of holiness and protection, kind of like history being protected when we protect the building, because, we have people who come into place to, as historians, to, to stop the element of everything going away, but it also at the same time where we have the system of time and the stories from children and so forth. And the Vatican at times has got involved in some of this, but we also
Yeah, those
have
those
people.
are I'm gonna say those are very demonic. Whenever you have statues doing all this stuff, those are demons. Yeah, yeah. I mean, we have spiritual forces at work, whether they be angelic or they be demonic. So people worship these statues, and these demons get in there. They want to be worshipped.
That's what a church is, a demonic worship.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
Drink my blood, eat my body. I mean, come on, when
all
you
right.
really
Eat
go
my
into the
flesh, drink my
practical,
blood. Yeah, let's go kill something, and make God happy. Let's go
right?
burn it alive. Yeah.
Yeah, well, there was a time that it was would the words be well, I know what the correct wording would be, but to basically put it in layman's terms, where burning a body was, you
Well, in
know,
order to have witchcraft, you have to kill, you have to burn, you have to sacrifice,
right. And
for
the
a demon.
Vatican one day said, you don't have to do this no more. Because I think that's when they started to open the gates of the truth of what they really stood for. We'll allow this now because, darkness and rituals and negativity uh, interferes with the positive ether that we have, in ways. But yeah, I would agree when we do see things that are, events taking place. But the ones that stand strongest in my mind are the ones where people come back to and actually respond through sicknesses and become well. And we know that there are document cases there that are factually true that have happened, that were documented. The same as we have ones where out of body experiences during surgeries and in emergency rooms who come back, 10, 15, sometimes 20 minutes later and describe everything that went on around them. So there are these things that
I had
keep.
my back healed. Yeah. I fell 50 feet out of a tree and landed on my back and bruised my spine. Doctor said it would never heal. And I was in a meeting with a guy who had no eyes, and you could tape his head. He could read perfectly. God gave him sight, no eyeball, no eyes. Okay, he put his hand on my head and prayed for me, and I felt something warm go down my back. My back was healed instantly. I'd 8 years I'd suffer with a back problem. God healed my back that day, and so yeah, healing is real. Healing is real, and I've been one time, boy had surgery in his hand, and he didn't use his hand properly. And he went, and this was in this church I'd went to. He went up to this pastor. When I looked over there, I saw an angel standing next to the pastor, very tall, golden, like you see, it was like light, like you could see through him. It was golden glitter, long blonde hair, angel standing there. And I saw the angel touch the boy, and the boy got his hand healed. To this day, his hand is completely healed. And I saw that angel touch that boy. It wasn't the pastor, it was the angel standing next to the pastor, but the pastor was praying for the healing. So I believe that there are unseen things in the spiritual realm that do come to help us, that do bring healing, that do have this ability, whether it's vibrational, and it's like, you know what I mean? It's like they correct
Did
us and they fix things on our body.
did I
But it is
did
real.
I, Michael? Did I ever tell you when I was in the hospital those 14 days about the woman that came into my room that I thought was a nurse? Did I ever tell you what happened?
Yeah, we were on the phone for about 45 minutes that morning, I believe.
Yeah.
So I know about it. If you want to share it to your
When
audience.
because like I said, the doctors have basically written me off. They didn't think I was going to make it. Everything in my stomach was 3 times the size that it should have been. They had my organs were starting to shut down. There was just no way. And so I was in my room, and of course, when I'm in the hospital, I never rest because I do see spirits. And I kept having this one little girl that kept coming in there and putting her hand like on my cheek, and she was very cold, which I expect. And normally I just see light and figure. I don't ever see somebody's facial features. Once in a blue moon, I seen Susie's daughter's facial features one day, and this little girl, prettiest little girl I ever seen, big blue eyes, and she would just smile at me. So I'm sitting there, and anytime a nurse would walk in, these spirits would take off. This woman came in my room dressed like a nurse. I thought that's who it was. And they didn't leave. And she came over and she sat on the side of my bed. And I just kind of looked at her. And she was looking around the room and smiling. I thought it was odd. And she looked at me and she put her hands, both hands at that time, on my head. And I felt the pressure of her hands. And she was warm. She wasn't cold. And I just kind of looked at her and she said, "Child, you're in despair." And I said, "No kidding. I'm in the hospital." And she said, "No, no." She said, "The person that did this to you tried to kill you." And I just sat there. And she said, "But I want you to know that she cannot. You have got the backbone of the gods, and you're very well protected, and you're stronger than you think." She said, "You need to get all of your abilities up because you're going to need them. This person and the people with this person, they were out for you and they're not going to stop." And I said, "Okay." And I didn't even ask her, have the feeling to even ask what her name was. But I did ask where she came from. And she looked at me and she said, "New Orleans." And I said, "Okay." So she took one hand and she put it on my stomach, which was so big, I swear I thought I was having triplets. And she put it on my stomach and she looked at me. She did a little prayer and then she said, "You're going to be okay. I just want you to know that." She said, "Now let me go get your pain meds." And she got up and walked out the door. And just as she walked out the door, my nurse came in. And I looked at her and I said, "Who was that nurse that just walked out that door?" And she looked back behind her and she said, "There was nobody that just walked out this door." I said, "Yes, a woman just walked out that door as you walked in. Who was that?" She said, "Honey, I've been sitting outside your door for 10 or 15 minutes doing my charting on the computer. Nobody has come in this room." So I just sat back and shut up. I was like, okay, you know. So they came in, they took my blood, they went on with themselves. And it was the next morning, the doctor come in there about 7 o'clock and he says, "I do not know what the hell is going on with you, but all of your labs are straightened out down on the board. Everything's good. So you can go home if you want to." And I said, "Yeah, let me out of here, you know." And I came home and I rested. The second or third night that I was home, I had a dream. And this woman came to me in the dream. And she said, "You're going to be okay." And I said, "What is your name?" And she looked at me and smiled and she said, "Anna Mae." Now, when I had told other people about this, Tommy, who used to come on here all the time, he said right off the bat, "Brenda, that was a spirit." And I said, "No, no, no, no. Because spirits I don't see like that and I don't feel them. And when I do feel them, they're not warm." He said, "I'm telling you, that was a spirit." Then when Susie dreamt about her, there was something she told her about her kidneys and told her she needed to start drinking more water and
Yeah.
she needed to start protecting her kidneys. So what I had figured out was this woman was some kind of a angel, per se, of health. That is the only
Of
thing I can
healing, yeah.
associate that with. She was some kind of a healing, health type person. Because I know she wasn't reptilian, because I'd have been able to smell her the minute she walked in the door and I'd have been on my butt and pushing it. Get that thing out of here. I know that to me, she seemed human. Like I said, because she was so warm. And I was not afraid of her. And she felt so, because I don't like to be touched. Okay. Even in the hospital, I ask them all the time, "What are you going to do? What are you doing?" But this woman, I allowed her to put her hands on my head. And I just sat there and I felt so comforted, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It was unnatural for me, but natural feeling, you know.
Right.
So I think that we do have really good things that are here to help us, whether they're angelic, whether they're extraterrestrial, whether they're just, I don't even know. But
Well,
I know that.
I get it. I get it, because it's like, you hear this or you hear that. You hear through an abduction, someone comes back healed from that, even, or you hear in a demonic situation, ghostly situation, where something shows himself in a way as maybe being your mother, and it's not,
Right, right, right.
So, but so there's that cognitive destructional dissonance that is there. I think it's up to everyone to justify their experiences the best way they can and understand their story in the best way that works for them,
And I
um,
think that's true. I think that they'll come to you in what you would see as
see them as
something
being.
comforting to you.
Yeah,
But
right.
see, now this woman here, I wouldn't have seen her from Adam. She was a short, heavy set black woman with real chubby cheeks and a thing wrapped on her head. And I mean, I
Yeah, she's
didn't
black. I
know
saw
her
her. She's
from
black.
anywhere, you know. Now, had it
Yeah.
have been somebody coming to me in the
She had
form
a
of
lot
my
of
mother,
authority in the spiritual realm.
yeah,
When she visited
and
me, Brenda, she was in another room and she had so much authority. She walked into the room that I was in my dream and she said she wanted to talk to me. And I went in there because this woman was high ranking in authority. I mean, in a good way. And then she told me about my kidneys, that I need to start looking after my kidneys and stuff. And I told Brenda after that, I said, I just met Anna Mae.
yeah, and she described her to me and
You know,
everything. I was like, that sounds like her. So, I
yeah.
mean, it was the strangest thing. I can honestly say, with as many strange things that have happened to me while I was growing up, and some of the things that I have seen, that was probably the strangest thing ever, because it made sense, but yet it didn't make sense. I couldn't understand what she was saying. And then we went through bloodlines, and I found out a few things about me. And I was like, huh, well, then, I guess so. You know, uh, I know who all I am related to, and it goes up almost the same line as Susie's. So,
Yeah, my last name is Allfather, which I'm a direct descendant from Odin, the Allfather. That's my dad's side. My mom's side, my 10th grandma was Pocahontas, and, it's like, I have like all the kings of England and queens and you name it. Wycliffe, who wrote the Bible, Tyndall, who wrote the Bible, was my grandfather. All these famous, like, I
wasn't he
don't
the
know,
one that was burned
it's
at the
crazy
stake?
ancestry.
Wasn't he the one that was
Huh?
burned at the stake? Which one was burned at the
Yes,
stake
by the Catholic Church.
putting
Yeah,
that
Tyndall.
in
I think
English?
Tyndall was for
Okay,
translating. Yeah.
yeah. So, I mean, it's sometimes I sit back and I think to myself that life is really an amazing thing. There is so much vast life out there that we don't know about. Learning it
Like
is
King James
is
1, 2, and 3, I'm
amazing.
related to, unfortunately.
Yes,
But
Queen.
not 6. I ain't related to that bastard. Excuse my, French, but
But there's so much out there
he was a
still to
cousin,
learn.
okay?
And I don't think that I would live long enough to be able to learn half of the stuff that's really out there, you know?
Yeah, I don't
And
think any of us will. I just don't.
yeah,
It's impossible.
I think that there's a lot of amazing things. And hopefully if things get on the right track and they get corrected, that the next few generations that come along don't screw it up and end back up in the same boat as we did growing up.
Well,
Because
something here does take us back to that scenario. It's always that it's a flip. For a certain amount of time, it goes good, and then, of course, then wherever good is, evil walks back in. Sometime, somehow, some way, through fame, money, whatever.
Oh, so,
Uh,
look,
oh,
that's what it boils down.
Well, then, I just watched Susie, Michael, and Steven's internet just go down and come back up. What's
No.
going on?
I said Satan is a tricky bastard. That's what I said.
But
there's a lot of trickery involved here. But like, look, you know, what in words isn't? The power of words is a very unique system.
yes.
It's has misunderstandings and in many ways. So you can look at law, and there's a reason why you need an attorney, because it's confusing unless you understand the terms of the law dictionary of the wording. So, you know, same with medical treatments and so forth. And it doesn't really provide for us because we will always need a system to guide us through it.
Right.
And that's the part that needs to stop, that we need to come to a commonality of purpose and understanding and clarity. And that's why the Democrats will always say, and let me be clear on this.
Yeah.
They make sure you understand the terminology is now changed. And they utilize these things because it's part of the dark side of the nature. Why does a priest wear black? Why does a judge wear black? Why does an altar boy have to wear black robes? Think about the black robe committees and how they
Isn't
are
it
all
interesting
connected
that
as well. You know, maritime laws, all these different things that do connect. Well, how the currency flows through the banks of the river.
Yeah.
Get it? This is
Yep.
all the terminologies of words and symbolology, and it's right in front of us even now, being recalibrated, rebranded, and it's going to be still on our face, including upside down crosses that are written in the letter forms that you don't even know are actually part of that function. Look at the Amazon logo.
Yep.
What does it look like? Just
Yeah.
saying. Just saying. I mean, so
the Google logo, the monster logo.
Yeah, but these things are everywhere. It's how they operate, and until we erase it all the best way we can.
Sigils, demonic sigils.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, in some ways, I don't know if it's all for the purpose of demonic, but it's the purpose of us remaining where we have to question everything. Because we sometimes get to so many dead ends when we're researching. It was meant for that to happen to us, for us to be lost into something for longer than we should be or should have ever happened to be lost within it, because that is part of the game plan of what they do, to keep us lost, to keep people unaware. You know, products and food, bioengineering, everything. What is bioengineering?
Ignorant.
Nobody wants to actually explain the terminology of that fact. What does it mean? What is its definition? What is this? What is it? You know, and one of the things that disappoints me right now too is like lots jumped out in the last week about Red 3, but nobody says anything about Red 40. There's a lot of Reds. They all need to be terminated, but yet our new administrations will either give them a couple of years for it to fade out. No, if it's bad for us, it should be removed tomorrow. It should be an executive order that happens on 1/21. It shouldn't have to wait. And guess who it benefits by doing that? The pharmaceutical companies, because of their coating red capsules.
There you go.
Yeah, and guess who owns the pharmaceutical companies?
We can. That's a whole nother show. That'll take us a while. That will definitely take us a while.
They're branded by. Yeah, they're branded by a lot of investors. I mean, look, even when you get into Elon Musk, I mean, I know we see some fascinating things here, there, and wherever, and we probably still question some things that are here, there, whatever from him. But, you know, even his pension fund is handled through Vanguard BlackRock.
Right.
So Tesla's $585 million is in the hands of the evil ones. It's how the system needs to work to be productive. And it's going to be really interesting to see how the future pans into that, until other credible people step up and can start offering more, currency. Like I said, all these different things, everything's going to matter on how things are going to work. I don't think I can really analyze any of them, but I don't really look at any of us as being a conspiracy theorist. I think what we really are, when it comes down to it, is we are analyzing. So we're analysts, maybe not by a definition of a document from a college, but we are. And that's what we're doing. We're doing the best we can. We're going to make wrongs right, and we're going to make rights wrong, just because of how difficult it is to get through all these patterns of the ugly to find the truth. But I think
we're curious.
I'm sorry?
We're curious. We're curious. And we're always asking questions. And that's what it takes.
Yes.
If we just sit back and we say absolutely nothing, we keep our mouth shut. I remember growing up and I would hear even my grandparents say, look what that stupid government's doing. But they did nothing. They just let it go. That is where the problem lies. This isn't always an elite problem, people. It is kind of our problem too. It's our fault too, because we have sat back for so long and just accepted everything as if it's normal. Even if we wanted to question it, we didn't say anything. We just like, oh, okay, whatever. No. And going forward, that is not the way it needs to be. By God, if Trump's administration does something that nobody likes, then bring it to Congress's attention. March your butt straight to Congress and say, no, look, this is not right. And we need to figure something else out. Explain to me how this makes sense. We have to be able to govern ourselves, because the reason why they feel we can't is because we haven't been. And that is something that has to happen.
Well, that's why they can say that with a note of positivity in their voice, because we haven't stood up for ourselves, and they claim because of that we need their guidance, and they'll guide us through the gates of hell. I want to also bring something else up to you. I gotten a lot of messages tonight to where I shared this. People have tried to come in and watch, unable to. They cannot make comments. I don't know why. I'm just sharing what I was looking down, reading from people that would have probably come in to hang out with us in the chat rooms and so forth. Even my chat's not up. I haven't had a chat up all night.
Norma, are we okay on...
You don't have any restrictions on it.
YouTube? Yeah, no, I don't have any restrictions set on it. Norma, are we okay on YouTube? You see us on YouTube, you guys? Because right now it should only be YouTube and Facebook that we should be streaming on. And I can check my Facebook and see if...
Here, I'll read right in Chuck Cook. I had a hard time getting in here, but I finally made it. But I got a lot of private messages from people who know me that were PMing me. But
weird.
Yeah, so anything that I did, the way I'm looking at it, the possibility exists that it's coming from my side and they're doing something that way. I don't know. The technology's so sophisticated in these ways.
Well, we're good on
I got at least 10 people that said that.
Okay, I'm very, very sorry.
Oh my God.
Yes, that would have been
really
nice.
Not your fault. I just made, I looked down and said, why?
Yeah, Brenda, it's not your fault.
Yeah.
My
only fault is I'm here, I'm there, I'm everywhere, and I'm running my mouth, And I don't ever want to bring bad, because that one show we did got blasted right off,
You know what, though? I laughed because it was so funny.
I would love it if your friends could get in there and talk. Oh, my gosh.
I messaged YouTube, and I'm like, you know what? You guys are a bunch of pansy sissies. That's the problem. And I do that all the time. I'm always harassing them. Every time they send me a nasty gram, I send them one right back. I'm like, yeah, come to my house. You have my address, I'm pretty sure. That's the way I look at it. I don't care. I'm right there with you, Michael. Come on.
I hear you. And with that, ladies, it's getting late. We've been on for a couple hours. I'm gonna go upstairs and try to relax a bit and get something to eat and go to bed. But I appreciate you guys having me. I had a lot of fun. And please don't ever take me as trying to, that's not me. I just
I
question
know you
everything.
well.
I just question
Yes,
everything
you do.
to try to understand more and to try to see how people are also seeing it. Hearing
That's
how
right.
you see it, what your experiences are, help me, guide me, and put me into a different perspective too. I do it to everybody, I really do, but
Yeah.
not for bad reasons, for good ones. But again, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. Something was in
Thank
the
you.
oven when I
Yeah.
went up for the coffee. I was like, oh, I got to get back up here, don't I? So anyway,
Oh
Don't get
no.
on your way to get coffee, Michael.
and you know what? Usually I only stay on for an hour, but for you, Brent, I don't mind doing it because it's fun. We talk, we pass time. We all need that kind of interaction in our lives. I know I do. So I appreciate you guys, and I want to wish you the best of luck into the future doing what you do and having great guests on and so forth. You have a great product here. Keep it strong, and keeping the fight.
God
Let's watch
bless
what
you.
happens, and who knows? Maybe in another month or so, ask me back on. Let's figure out what we see happens in the
Yeah,
future, and maybe we can
absolutely.
discuss it, be disgusted with it, or be happy with it.
And you know what? Also,
What's that?
um,
What's
I
that?
want to make sure that you tell people where they can find your shows at because,
Oh, just look on Facebook. It doesn't matter. Look, my thing it's not about where I get. I'm just not at that. It's not about where I get. It's where I stood while I lived.
that's true. That's
You
true.
guys have a great night. I
Thank
appreciate
you,
you.
Michael, so much. And I'm
God
looking
bless.
forward to our
Thank
next
you
4
so much.
o'clock epiphany
All right, man. Oh, there goes
conversation.
that light. He turned on his headlights again.
You were premature there,
that.
Steve. Premature.
See you later.
Good night.
Good night.
All right, Steve, you can turn it on.
Wow.
Hi.
He's a fireball, isn't he?
Oh, I just love him to death. He is great. Like I said,
Oh.
I've known him for so long.
Your
And when
phone's
he
doing that thing again, Steve.
it's because he's in the car. When he researches,
I know. I wish it wouldn't do
he
that.
just he does such an awesome job because he has been doing it for so long, and he asks all those questions that need to be asked. And like I said, I love when he
Yeah.
calls me at 4 o'clock in the morning because he's had an epiphany. And guess what? What?
Boy, he brought my little, like getting mad about people just trying to write off the Mandela effect and, oh my gosh, I just got me
No,
going, didn't he?
it's and he doesn't do it to be mad. He does it to ask questions because he wants to understand things, you know, and seeing a lot of times with a lot of people seeing is believing,
I'm
but
saying he's good at asking questions.
he's done so much research that, like he says, put it on record, put it in writing, put it on, because he's been zapped a lot of times when he first started out, with, well, how do you know this for sure? How do you, he's been zapped with that. And so I completely understand, you know, people will sit here and tell me all the time, you don't know how many people tell me when we start talking about reptilians and we start talking about different things like that. And they ask me, well, how do you know? Because I have seen them. I smell them.
Exactly.
What, do you want me to take frickin' pictures? I don't think I was allowed
And
to
that's
take
why I
pictures
say to
where I
you,
was.
blessed are they who believe and haven't seen, because I haven't seen a reptilian like you've seen them, but I know they're real. I know because I've seen other demons, I've seen angels, and I know the facts, I know the truth, and I know that, the God of this world is a reptile. Okay.
Yeah.
So
And Michael has got so much knowledge about so many things. Like I said, you can ask him about Bigfoot. You can ask him about any of the cryptids. You can ask him about a lot of things. He's got knowledge, background, investigation, all of that. And so when it comes to the Mandela effect, you know, supernatural things, now that, because it's stuff you cannot put down in writing, you cannot take pictures, you cannot describe certain things. He asks questions, as he should, because it's just like all of us. The problem that we have down the line, and what has gone on and what is still going on right now on this planet, is not enough people have asked enough questions to try to find answers. So it is something that we are all going to have to focus on. It's something that we're going to have to try to get our mindset in, because if we don't, it's going to be the same pattern of the same thing over and over again, just running us over and nobody caring. And we can't have that, because that is what makes it go wrong, you know? So we have had 2 good shows this weekend, y'all. Well, I have fun in all of our shows. We're a bunch of clowns. We can be. Let's see. Norma says, oh.
Said, yeah, other.
Norma said she's had other
Interesting.
podcasters. Yeah. Well, you know, some do, some under, but a lot of times it's people that, okay, people argue about flat earth, but yet they're the same people that want to go back and say they follow the Bible. Now, if you follow the Bible, you'll know that in the Bible, what does God say, Susie?
Yeah, it says the earth is unmovable. The earth does not move. It says that.
Yeah, it says it's flat. There's a firmament that separates the waters above from the waters
firmament.
Below. The dome firmament. So,
and
how can you argue?
It says it's on pillars and it does not move. Yeah.
Yeah. So how can you argue one and not the other? So, but they don't see that. They don't think to themselves, oh, well, I don't remember it saying that. We'll go look because it says it. What is that Mandela effect? You know, I mean, there are so many questions that people can ask, but yet a lot of people can ask questions. They expect everybody to give them answers, but they don't want to go look themselves. But they'll be the first ones to get in your face and call you a liar. The absolute first ones to get in your face and call you a liar. So it's my thing is from now on, what I've adopted saying is I'll say what I want to say. And if they say, well, that's not true. Okay. If you don't want to go look for it yourself and see if you can find it, well, then I don't know what to tell you. But all right, whatever. Because when it comes down to it, and when things come around and people start finding out the truth, then they're going to sit there and say, hey, you were right. Was I? Really? Really? Was I? And I don't want any apologies, and I'm not going to be the one to say, I told you so. All I can say is, well,
but
good.
I told you so.
I'm glad you opened your eyes.
But I told you so.
Yeah,
I did tell you, you know.
I used your nose to spite your face now. That's all I can say. I don't think, like me, I don't think I should have to defend myself for anything that I say. If you weren't there and you didn't live it, you might want to let it go. If you don't believe, do some research, you know. I had to. And I'm so computer stupid, it ain't even funny. But I also grew up in my life knowing things were not right. From the time I was 5. When you see the things that I've seen, and you always think to yourself, even growing up, nah, people say there's aliens. There's no such thing as aliens. And I would think to myself, well, what was that I seen, and not only seen, but thought that they smelled really bad and they needed a bath? You know, what was that? Because I don't know of any person that walked around that looked like that. Now, it wasn't until I got older that I
Yeah, and
realized
then
that
I had a,
like you see,
and
look
Brenda,
that.
I had that when I went to Mount Vanell in Austin. I had that star that shot across the sky, and it came down, turned into a flying saucer over my head, and it was pretty close. Lights all around it, And once you see it, you can't unsee it, and once you know it, you can't unknow it. Like
Right.
it's so, when you have your own personal experiences of these things, then it is what it is, right? And it
Yeah.
doesn't matter what anybody else, has or not seen, but it becomes a real event in your life. And
Yeah.
like I've seen
I mean,
these demons
it's
and
like
I've seen these
when
angels.
Michael says, we get those people that die in the hospital and they're gone for 20 minutes and they come back and say they can describe everything that happened. I know that way too well. I died 9 times in 24
Yeah,
hours. And I seen things that,
in that world. Yeah.
yeah. And I didn't do like these people you see on TV. Oh, I seen this big bright light. No, 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 no. Nope, 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 nope. I didn't see bright light. I did not see any bright light. I seen people. I seen stars. I seen clouds. I walked on air, for God's sakes. I didn't see no bright light.
That's kind of cool.
Come here. I had people telling me, no, it is not your time. Go back. I even said, I don't want to. I kind of like it here.
I don't want to.
I don't want to. I kind of like it here. Nope, nope, nope. Go back. You're not done. Okay.
We got stuff for you to do, Brenda.
Apparently so. It's not been easy. Let a one-legged woman in a wheelchair try to tell somebody about certain facts in life, and they look at you like you're insane. Well, then. That's what I said. To me, you've
been through more pain than most people, Brenda.
Yeah, but I only go through it because I believe that God does only give you things that you can handle. And I think from the get-go, he knew, boy, this is going to be some tough little stubborn-headed little girl right here, because I grew up like that. I fell out of trees. I fell off of bicycles, skateboards, roller skates. I broke more bones in my body than most people do in 100 years. Okay.
But I think you and I would have had a blast as kids hanging out together. Yeah.
Probably. Although I would have come up with the idea of being in the car with Otis and Tool telling you, grab your strap on your purse. We're going to choke these bitches on the way. Because that'd have been me. We're sitting behind them. Let's choke them. You're not taking me home.
Funny.
You're not better be able to cut through this strap I've got on my purse, because I'm fixing to gag you and choke you out. And then I'm going to throw you out the car and steal your car. How's that sound? But I was kind of rough when I was little. I was kind of a mean little kid, I was a tomboy. I admit it. I was not a girly girl.
Yeah, we could have rode horses and, we could have had some fun growing up. Yeah.
Yes, you're right. We would have been.
Norma said you two would have always been in a lot of trouble. Do you see that?
Yeah, probably. We probably would have. It would have been okay though. We would have gotten through it.
We would have been laughing the whole time, right? We'd have been laughing the whole time.
Oh man, I just scraped my knee. I could see my bone. That's funny. Yep, that would have been me. I've done that several. You should have seen. I had 8 surgeries done on my leg before they finally took it. And one of them, I had gotten a real bad infection there, so they had to cut it open, probably about yay wide. And they had to dig the infection out of it. So they packed it. Doctor comes in there one night, and I said, what are you doing? He said, we got to change the packing. I said, oh, okay. he pulled it out, and I'm looking in my leg, and I'm like, whoa, is that my bone? I'm like, that is cool. He goes, what are you doing? I said, I'm getting my phone. I got to take a picture of this. He goes, what is wrong with you?
Oh my
I
God,
said,
Brenda.
that's just neat. I thought it was awesome, you know. I
You're
worked in a hospital
tripping.
for 10
You are
years.
tripping.
Things don't really gross me out. There's only one thing that grosses me out, and that's when somebody hawks a loogie. I cannot stand that. It makes me want to slap somebody in their face. I hate that. But
Oh, Brett asked if I could throw a rope. Yeah, I do know how to throw a rope. I do know how to rope, but I don't necessarily go out and rope, but I do know how to do, I know how to rope. Yeah.
Brent, do you want Sissy? You want Sissy to wrestle you up? Watch out there.
Can you rope? Yeah.
Yeah, Norma.
What do you want me to rope? Some of the bad guys, we'll lasso them up,
He
okay?
wants you to lasso you up. Lasso him up. Norma, Putin is doing better. He does still pull his leg up every once in a while, but he's starting to use his leg more. I think if he overdoes it, then he kind of hurts himself a little bit. So he has to pull it up. But he is doing better, thank you. He's under my bed on his bed asleep right now. I'm kind of surprised. Earlier in the show, he started woofling, and I couldn't figure out why. And I had to have Jack come in here and find out what his problem was. And he had gone in his little thing and used his potty pad and peed, and he wanted his treat. And he was not letting anything go till he got his treat. He was at the baby gate, because we've got Tucker locked in the room. He was at his baby gate woofling for Jack to come and give him his treat because mommy was busy. I'm telling you, this dog is smart for such a little itty bitty. He's got such an itty bitty head, because he's an apple head, that I swear his brain must be all over his body, because he is so freaking smart, and he does not forget anything. And I can't take him back to that same groomer, because if he got hurt there, he'll remember it. So I have to find another one. So, which upsets me.
Hey, Brenda.
Hey, what?
I was just looking at these messages, and I see when Holly said something. She was saying about the demons smelling bad. You know about that, don't you?
Yes. 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 Because even in
the reptilians, they smell really bad, right?
The reptilians do, but also now in a spiritual thing, if before I lost my leg, I used to, like I told you guys, I used to go to cemeteries and different things like that. I see spirits, but demons will hide from me. But they do also smell. And they're just more of they smell sulfury, but not as bad as the reptilians do. They smell, but not as bad.
Reptilians smell like something died, right?
They smell like a mixture between sulfur, rotten eggs that have been out for like ever, and crap, garbage, old, steamy, in the
rotten
sun,
eggs are the worst.
100-degree weather garbage. They stink real bad. Yeah, they stink bad. But yeah, no, spiritual demons, they smell. They don't like me. They do hide. But I know they're there, and I feel them, and I usually turn around and say, why are you hiding from me? If they try to come across as a child and it's hiding from me, I know it's not a child. And it'll hide from me, and I'll say, why are you hiding from me? You know, if you're that big and you're that bad, why are you hiding from me? And then they tell you don't taunt them. And I don't taunt them. I'm asking a question. I'm asking why they're hiding. That's not taunting. Taunting would be, come on out here, I'm going to box with you, you asshole. I'm going to wipe the floor. That would be taunting. I don't taunt them. You should never taunt them because they can be very wicked. And I have been bit in
Well,
the center of my back, in between my shoulder blades. I was bit,
that's crazy.
and the
Yeah.
biting went like upper teeth, a space, and a hole, and almost like vampire teeth. So I've been bit. I've been scratched. I've had my hair pulled. I've had my clothes
That's
pulled
the
to where it
physical
knocked me
or the
down.
spiritual coming through physical?
Do what?
I said
Uh-oh.
that's the spiritual coming into the physical.
I think so.
Did you hear me?
Yes. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so. But they don't.
Yeah, it
They don't.
manifested into the physical.
They don't continue around me, and I don't know why. But I can usually, if they're inside of someplace, I can feel them when I'm outside. When I'm outside, I'll get this upset stomach, and my every hair on my body will stand up. Chill, goosebumps, and I could be outside, not even go in. And if it is too severely bad, my head will start hurting real bad, and I'll be like, nope, ain't going in there. I know my limits, and yeah, so there's no way.
Oh.
Yeah, if they're real bad, I ain't going. Yep, I even know. I know when I could set myself up for being hurt. The night that I got bit, it didn't happen right away. We were all sitting at a cemetery. We went to go see somebody's relative. And we were sitting there, and it was almost dark when we got there. And we stayed there, and we were talking. We were all sitting there talking, and somebody said, wouldn't it be neat if there was other spirits here? And of course, stupid me, I said, well, there is. And they're like, there is. And then somebody started saying, come out and play with us. And I said, don't do that. Don't do that. And yeah, they did it. And it was not pretty. There was things started blowing around, leaves started blowing. Everybody was getting cold. And I said, well, now you did it. And everybody tried to get up and run and leave. And I said, stop. I stopped everybody while they were still in the grass. And I said, don't move. And they're like, why? I said, hang on. And just as I went to turn and say, you have to stay here. You're not allowed to attach yourselves to us. You cannot come with any of us. You have to stay here. And just as I went to turn around to say that is when I got bit. And I stopped.
Oh my gosh.
Of course, it hurt. And I stopped. And then I turned around anyways, and I went ahead and said it. And somebody turned around and said, oh my God, you have blood on your shirt. So I said it. We backed off the grass. We got in the car. And it wasn't until I got home that they could have the light to lift up my shirt and look. And yeah, I was bit pretty good. And we cleaned it up. And I told them, they're like, I got the peroxide. I said, no, get the alcohol. Get the alcohol. But that's going to hurt. I don't care. Get the alcohol. So yeah, I had that. And then it started to heal. It bruised real bad. I mean, it was nasty. It was almost as if I didn't know any better, I would have said I would have been bit by a hellhound, because it more looked like dog bite than anything. But nobody's seen anything behind me. So
could have been a dog from hell. Yeah.
It could have been. I didn't hear no growling, but it could have been. Ain't no telling.
You did get the bite. Yeah. Shoot.
Yeah. God. And so I never did that again. I mean, I went to cemeteries again after that, but no, I was so young. This is going to sound funny, Ivy, but when that happened, all we had was cameras that had the disposable cameras. We didn't even have cell phones.
Or the Polaroids, right?
We had disposable cameras, and we had to pay for those. And we were young. We didn't have no money. But yeah,
they didn't have cell phones like that.
I know. And my mom was like, my mom, every time my mom did something, one day she told me, why are you not wearing a bra? And I said, well, I just don't want to wear one. You know, your boobs are going to fall down. But I didn't want to tell her I can't put a bra on because, you know, it hurt. I didn't want my mom to see it. She would have been like, where were you? What were you doing? Well, the other night I snuck out my window. You know, I didn't want to tell her that because she'd have been mad.
Oh my God, running around the cemetery, Mom.
But
Yeah.
you were in there doing your homework
Fighting off
and you went to bed. No, right? I said I was a ruffian kid. It was like the night I went to see Rocky Horror Picture Show. Snuck out my window. Snuck out my window. Yeah, I was the type of kid when I was younger.
And you wonder
I would
why
run
your
away from
kids
home.
do stuff, and then you're like,
Yeah.
the tree. Let's say the apple doesn't fall far from the tree with your kids, right?
Well, my daughter wasn't as adventurous as I was. Like I said, when I was younger, I would run away from home, and my uncle would send the National Guard to find me. Yeah. Yep. And he would drag me home. I'd be so mad
Well, that
yelling at
wasn't
him.
fair.
No, it wasn't fair. And then I used to sit there and open the door and say, how did you find me? What if I got a GPS up my ass? And they would just look at me and say, just get in the car. Like,
Oh, shoot.
what? Yeah. I don't know. You know, I've never been checked. I really someday should look in my body to see if I had some kind of thing to follow me around. I've never checked. Because they found me every time. And I didn't care where I went. They found me. You know?
Yeah.
It's like, God, man.
You never know.
People just leave me
You
alone.
might have had
I
you
would say,
chipped.
tell them I'm not here. And they'd be like, nope, we know she's here. And they would just come in the door and find me, take me. And then I then I would hear, you know, I would tell you you're grounded, but I don't think that would do any good. I'm like, yeah, you're right.
You're just going to sneak back out again.
Sneak back out again. Have my fun. Then I'll wait for my ride home. That's what it got to be. Somebody would say,
I used to sneak out, Brenda. When I was living with my grandparents, I used to sneak out. I know, hey, I used to go hang out with the kids in high school. So one night I snuck out, right? And I was in the second story in my grandma and grandpa's house where I lived, right? And so when I went out, she locked the door. I got locked out, right? And so I had to go to the neighbor's house and get this big ladder and then go back to my house and put it up to my bedroom. And then I had to go up the ladder, get in my window, and I looked down the hallway and I could see Grandma and Grandpa sleeping on the bed. And I had to really quiet, drop into my room, sneak that back down the stairs, go outside, get the ladder, take it back to the neighbor's house, and then come back in. Next morning, Grandma says, "So where were you last night?"
Well, your door was open, so I'm pretty sure they
Dang, I thought I was pretty, I was pretty
Norma
tough
was
going
right.
up the ladder and all.
Norma was right. We probably would have been in a whole lot of trouble.
Yeah, we'd have.
Sending Morse code back and forth. Susie, I'm sneaking out tonight. Meet me at the milkshake place.
Yeah. Yeah, meet you down the road, down the field, Okay, all right, all right.
But you know what, though? I think I sit here and I think about how the kids or the people today that don't really realize what's happening on this earth right now, I think that those were the ones that went to school, paid attention, went to college, all that other stuff, where we lived our lives, even if we had to sneak out to do it. And look at what we know now. We had a lot of common sense when we were younger, like to try not to get caught. And, we planned strategic maneuvers.
We thought we did, yeah. Where were you last night? Oh, busted.
Well, I didn't get caught so much. My brother, I remember I used to go out with a bunch of my friends. And
not too much. You got caught too much, yeah.
But one night I gone to a friend's house and we were listening to her boyfriend. He was in a band and they were playing in a garage. And they kept handing out this iced tea that I thought was just awesome. It tasted so good. Didn't dawn on me till I stood up. There was something in that iced tea. And it was slow gin.
Uh-oh.
do you know, I was like, oh my God, I can't go home like this. You know, they're pulling over. I'm sticking my head out the car. I'm throwing up. And so my friend says, well, when we get back to the house, we'll go to my aunt's because her aunt was pretty cool. And we'll go to my aunt's and we'll call your mom and say, you're going to spend the night with me. I'm like, okay. So her aunt called. The girls are here. I just want to let you know, is it okay if Brenda spends the night? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, oh, thank God. You know, but I would do stuff like that. And my mother, we had a curfew. For every minute we were late on our curfew, we got grounded a day. So if I was ever late, like one night we were going to be late and I called my mom from a payphone. And I'm like, Mom, we broke down. We don't have a jack. We got somebody coming with a jack to help, you know, Freeman change his tire on his car. She's like, okay, well, get here as soon as you can. Okay, Mom. I go home. 4 days later, what does my brother do? He tries the same excuse that I had. And my mom's like, oh, no, that doesn't happen to both of my kids. I don't think so. So my brother would get in trouble. And it's like, I would look at him and say, stupid, come up with your own excuses. Don't use mine. You know, it's like, my mom's not really stupid. I never got in trouble, though. I was the good child. I don't know how. I don't know how. I would get into so much
Well,
stuff.
I told you that Joel. I told Joel not long ago about when we had this little car. We call it the Stallion. It was a little. I think it was a little Honda or something. Can you hear me?
Yes.
What you said? Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Now.
So he tells me that late at night he used to sneak out, and he called it the hoopty. And he used to get in the hoopty and drive all over the neighborhood in Bastrop. And late at night he'd drive around and he'd come back, and I'm like, and I never knew that. And I'm like, so even Joel did like me. He was sneaking out and driving the hoopty around, you know, learning how to drive, you know, at night. I'm like, what? I was like, I guess the apple doesn't fall far from the tree here, you know.
That's right. That's right. That's probably right. But my daughter wasn't as adventurous as me. She did some stuff, but she got caught. And I'll tell you how she got caught. She got caught because her mama used to do all that stuff. But I used to tell her the same thing I would tell my brother. You know, make your own unique ways. Don't try the same things I did because you won't get away with it because I'll know. I will know. So she just never tried. It's just never tried. She's like, nope, my mom will find out. I did one thing to her when she was younger, because we didn't have cell phones, so it's not like I could ground my daughter from her phone. It didn't do me any good to ground her and tell her that she had to stay in the house because my daughter hardly ever went anywhere. Her friends all came to our house. So one night I heard her and her friend in the room giggling, and I got up and went to walk by her room, and I could smell pot. So I went and I told my ex-husband, I said, hey, he said, what? I said, I think Tricia and Michelle are in there smoking weed. He goes, really? I said, yeah. So we sneak over there down the hallway and we open the door and we busted them. Now my thing was, where'd you get it? Because you don't get that stuff for free. So where'd you get it? Where'd you get the money for it? And she said, well, Michelle's dad's friend gave it to us. I said, okay, first thing is you don't ever just get weed from anybody that gives it to you. If you cannot buy it, you cannot afford it, then you don't need it. Okay, that was my thing. So we took it away from her. She was so mad. So I was trying to think, how am I going to ground this child? And it dawned on me. I said, so you are not allowed to wear makeup to school for the next week. What? She said to me. I said, you heard me. No makeup for a whole week. Do you know my daughter is 38 years old and still to this day, she tells me how much that hurt her that she could not wear makeup to school for a whole week. And it's
that affected her girly
it never
thing,
and it never happened again, and it always stuck with her. So I kind of made a good decision, you know. It's like
kind of worked, huh?
It did work. Well, guys,
Yeah.
I think that I think we are going to go ahead and we're going to call it a night. Because Abe should be starting his show. Oh no, wait, he went out tonight. Okay, never mind. But hopefully he had a good night out. They hit. Look, they were on the show last night. Didn't dawn on anybody. I was like, oh my gosh, you guys hit 3K subscribers, and I'm like, hello, you hit 3K subscribers, Abe. Finally, Jesse reads it and says, oh, look at there. I was like, yay. So he said he was going to celebrate that tonight when he went out dancing. So, yeah, pretty good job. I was proud of him. I was like, there you go. You got to work
That's
hard
pretty
for that
good.
stuff.
Yeah, that's great.
You have to work hard for it.
Oh, definitely.
We haven't been,
Right?
we've only been doing this, what's today? Today is the 18th.
Today is January still.
Yeah. So sometime around the middle of this month,
when did
a
we
year
start doing
ago,
our shows?
a year ago, but we've only done them like
Okay.
2 nights a week. So, and we had, let's see, 2 weeks off when I was in the hospital, and then during Thanksgiving all the way through to New Year's, we were only doing one show here and one show there because everybody was gone for the holidays. So we don't do too bad, and we like our little show, and we like our people that
Yep.
watch our show. So
Yeah.
we've kind of gotten a little bit away from the super soldier program because, guys, that was so hard on me and Susie. I mean,
Yeah, that's an emotional strain a lot of times
yeah,
because
it was.
it is kind of
very-
sad. The stories, some of the stories are pretty, I mean,
Yeah.
you can only just hope everybody gets healed.
Right. Like we'll have, Penny Bradley come on, maybe even Tony Rodriguez. I want to stick to the older ones because these younger ones, I just can't keep up with what they're doing. That's what emotionally drained me was Rocco and other ones. So they drained me so much. I just couldn't anymore. But we'll
Yeah.
we like a lot of the people that we have on now, and we will continue to have them come in. And I love Michael. Michael and I get along very well. I've known him for a great long time. So everything's going to work out okay. Our show is going to continue on no matter what we're doing. Because Susie and I figure if we have 50 people watching and only one person gets what we're talking about, then we did our jobs, and that's the way it is. Boom.
And we learn a lot. We learn a lot of stuff from our guests and stuff, so we enjoy that.
We do. We learn from them. They learn from us, and we kind of pass things back and forth. We plug each other's shows on each other's stuff because, well, that's what it's about. That is unity. We come together with what we've got for truth and what we know, and we spread it to other people so that they know, and hopes that they can spread it around, and we help each other out, and it's unity. And we like the people we have now because we all get along. We don't have any fighting and arguing, and we don't have any of that stuff going on. So Abe's got a little bit
Just
of a
having
problem.
a good time. Yeah.
Yeah, they've got a little bit of a problem with the trolls over there. And I was thinking the other day, I put a message out. I think I need somebody from the little family to contact me because I think I'm going to give them something to do.
The little family. The little family.
Yeah.
That's cute.
Yeah, because it's right up their alley. So
thanks, Ivy. She said, "Keep up the great work."
Yes, Ivy. I hope you're not working too hard tonight, girl. And last night I made Smurfy a mod so that he can cover for you when you weren't there. So he was okay. He said he got wings. I thought he got a wrench, but apparently he got wings. I don't know how that happened. So, I haven't looked, so I don't know. But all right, guys, we're going to get out of here. I want everybody to enjoy the rest of their weekend. Be careful next week. Here it's going to get bad here in, the next few days, apparently. So everybody just be very careful. Keep your head on a swivel. Right, Ivy? But, and everybody take care. And we will see you next weekend. Keep an eye on the, whatever you call that. Oh, the notifications for the shows that'll be coming up. I don't know what we're doing yet. Who knows? You never know with us. We might just like pull something out of our behinds and want to do a Susie story time again. We like that. But Susie's got stuff to do next weekend. She's going to that. Aren't you going to the
Yeah, I'm going to the horse show.
Yeah.
Sorting. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens. I'm hoping maybe sometime next weekend I can talk Steve into us doing more on the, maybe doing some stuff on the World's Fairs and some of the old structure buildings. And I keep telling Steve he needs to go to school because he really loves architecture. So I think that he would make a very good foreman for an architecting company. But,
I didn't take a class on the Chicago World's Fair.
Do what?
I took a class on the Chicago World's Fair.
Oh, you took a class?
wow.
Yeah.
Well, hot
So I
diggity.
know about architecture in general.
All right. Well, then. All right, everybody. I hope you enjoyed tonight's show. And we have been on, well, we've been on about 2 hours because we didn't start early, but we started a little bit later than I had anticipated, but we still did it.
We've been on a while.
So,
yeah.
Yeah, we started at like 7:39 or something like that. So, good night, y'all. We love y'all. We will see you next weekend. And like always, guys, please be kind to one another. Have a good night.
God bless.
Goodbye for now, from Beyond the Box.
Please join us again for Beyond the Box, Friday and Saturday evenings, from 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Central, 10 p.m. to midnight Eastern. Join us for more intel bombs from our extraordinary guests.
Good night, Putin. Good night, Tucker.